music for a second. I see a couple of presenters here. Thank you, Ted. I see Quinn and I think Alexandra, you are here, and a couple of presenters. Why don't you speak, say something, just make sure interpreters can hear you clearly. Would like to go. Peter, do you want to do sound check?
SJ, I'm making everybody a co-host right now. That's what I'm doing, okay? And
Okay.
I just sent a reminder to everybody who registered directly from my email that
Very good.
starting at 7. So that's
Okay.
what I was doing, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
SJ, I hope you hear me. It says I'm not able to open my video. If someone can help on that.
Christina.
Peter, I have to make you co-host. That's what I'm doing. Just a second.
Okay.
I have to lock it up because we don't want, anybody just to be able to share. So I'm making everybody a co-host from GEFSEC. And then you can share. Just a second. Okay, now you should be able to share, Peter. Check it, please. Thank you.
And Christina, I see Sunday from
Sunday's
staff.
here?
He's
Okay.
here. Make him co-host.
He's under his name, right? Sunday.
Yes.
Okay.
See.
We have to find him.
Yeah, we have to.
Where is he? Where is he? Okay, here we go. I found him.
Perfect.
Who else do you see? SJ. If you see Omid, I have to make him a co-host. Kidan is here. I made him a co-host. Thank you, Kidan, for being with us.
Let me just, do you hear me?
Yes.
So John, okay, I just want to say to folks, it's 7 o'clock here in Washington, D.C. We'll be starting, I think, in a couple of minutes. So just hang on. We're getting everything going.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. All right. We have over 100 people.
And SJ, I just wanted to say, somebody asked if they could record locally. We will be recording this. And
put it on our website.
Yeah, it's better if we just have one recording, I think, instead of doing local recording. So for quality purposes, so we will record every day. And that's my dog. He has an opinion about this too. So we record every day and we'll post it on our website.
Yes, that's our plan. Right. Okay, sounds good. Sunday, from Step, Christina, you made him co-host, right?
I made him co-host, didn't I? Yeah, let me check.
Yeah. I see he's on the chat. He's still unable to.
I'm still unable to share.
Okay, Sunday, sorry. Now you should be good.
Okay.
Please check if you're able to. Yeah, you should be co-host now. Thanks.
Good, thanks.
Thank
Am I
you.
able to share my screen?
You should be able to as a co-host. Yeah, you want to try?
Then, okay, I think it's fine.
Okay, you're fine. Yeah.
We're here in case there's any problem. We'll be your backup. We have like 3 or 4 backup lined up.
I see Silke from Independent Evaluation Office. Silke, are you presenting?
Yuha is the one who's
Yuha, okay.
Yeah, but he will join after 8 o'clock.
Yeah, if you see him, please alert me so I can make him well, actually,
okay.
Yeah, he is.
Sure.
SJ, he is presenting his own slides, right? Is that correct?
No, we'll share his slides.
Okay. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Very good. All right, so Peter, I think we are pretty much ready. Whenever you want to start, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sojung. Thank you, Christina and Ala. Thanks to the organizing team. Hello,
Recording
everyone.
in progress.
Welcome to this year's edition of the
I cannot
wait.
Peter.
Do we lose Peter?
Seems
I
like
think
it.
so, yeah. Okay. Right. I'm sure he will join back on. Okay, let's give him like 1 or 2 minutes. I'm sure he'll be back.
So I started recording, SJ.
Sounds good. All right. So in the
Mhm.
meantime,
Do we hear me?
perhaps we can do, so there will be interpretation. You see in the bottom of your screen, there's interpretation, the logo. So we have a Spanish and French ready for you. It's all set up. Also, we'll be recording this session, and when, as Christina mentioned, we'll post all the recording on our website. So don't worry, don't worry. I know we already got a lot of questions from, especially from Asia Pacific folks, that their time is not very convenient. We will record the session and post it on our website.
And SJ also will post not just the recording every day, right? But all the presentations of that
Presentation
day.
slides, everything will be there. Okay. Let me
see. Do we have any questions? Just some people introducing themselves. Do you see in the chat,
Recording
SJ, from
stopped.
different countries?
This is good. This is good. Yes, very good. Well, so once Peter join, we have a session, the icebreaker session. So at that point, we'll ask everybody to get ready, turn on the camera, and introduce yourself. So don't worry, we have that session.
SJ, I'm back.
Thank you. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Wow, we were
All
worried
right.
about you, Peter.
That was one of the shortest, let's say,
Yes.
introductions and seminars. If someone could start my video, but let me just go back again. Are we okay on the video?
Christina, you need to do something for Peter.
Oh, Peter. Oh, I have to remake. Oh, you just, okay.
Yeah.
Peter, where are you under GEFSEC?
Yes.
Okay, let me find you then.
He's under Peter Lallis, no Jeff Sick.
Oh, he's under Peter. Oh, okay, okay. All right.
Oh,
here we go.
Thanks, Claude.
Okay, you should be okay now.
All right, there we go. All right, well, thanks again, everybody. Sorry for the momentary loss of connection, but we want to thank you very much for coming to this introduction seminar. It's great to have you, and it's really great to be all together. My name, which you've seen off and on the screen already a few times, is Peter Lawless. I will moderate the session today and then with Sojung for the next couple of days. Just to mention, I'm the GEF's Secretariat's General Manager and Conflict Resolution Commissioner. I work with the CEO and the teams, all the teams that you'll be meeting today and in these next couple of days. We're very excited to get started. This is an annual event. Let me just mention in these next 3 days, we have a couple of big objectives. The first is to, as you can see by the title of this seminar, to help introduce you to the GEF, how it works, who we are, what's the nature of the partnership, and what's our agenda going forward. The second big objective is to hear from all of you. We hope to have time during the discussion, during the sessions for discussions, for questions, and for a little bit of brainstorming too about the future, because we're about the present and we're about the future in our work. And the last thing, very important, although it's more challenging virtually, but we're going to try and make it happen, is we'd like to get to know each other a little bit better. So we'll find some times today in the next couple of days to swing around the globe with the screenshot and say hello to each other. And we hope that when you come in, ask a question, please put your name, where you're from, and in that way we'll also have a chance to learn who we are. We'll talk more about this soon, but now I'd just like to begin with a recorded message. If we're ready, let me ask the team from the GEF CEO and Chair of the Council, Carlos Manuel Rodriguez.
Okay, we're ready.
Let it go.
It is my great pleasure to join you via this video message. We begin our flagship GEF Introduction Seminar. This introduction seminar brings all of you together in a format that allows an interactive window into how the GEF operates. Understanding better how the GEF operates will allow all stakeholders and interest persons to maximize their resources and generate higher impacts and results. Your presence, collectively reflecting over 100 different countries, is an encouraging reminder to me of the GEF wide reach and our potential to bring together so many stakeholders to ultimately achieve a sustainable environmental impact. This seminar is a key semi-annual event in the GEF calendar. We will cover fundamental issues of the GEF governance, operations, policies, and programming. This time, however, we have also changed a few aspects. We're bringing partnership to the forefront with different members of the GEF partnership elaborating on how we collectively work together to build capacity and deliver global environmental benefits. Our council, through the GEF aid replenishment process, has entrusted the GEF with a record level of funding, over $5 billion over the 2022-2026 period. We are currently implementing the programming and policies of this cycle. Those of you who have already been associated with the GEF will see that several key areas look different to what the GEF 7 cycle look. For example, building on the foundation of the country support program, we have developed a country engagement strategy to further extend targeted capacity building to the GEF partnerships. The small grant program has increased its funding envelope and created additional funding windows, and we are in the middle of a process to add new agencies to this program. You will be hearing all about these initiatives and more over the next few days. The effects of climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution are increasingly evident in our daily lives. Never has it been more important for all of us to listen to the local communities and engage them in finding solutions. I strongly believe every one of us has a role to play. The GEF is therefore providing a platform for the voices of civil society, youth, women, and indigenous people to be heard. I'm proud of the innovative changes and enhancements we will see in this direction in GEF aid, including initiatives such as the Gustavo Fonseca Leadership Program, which has created in honor of our dear departed colleague. Today, the GEF has an active portfolio of more than 1,800 projects in 144 countries with a budget of $8.4 billion. And yet, by all estimates of the nature financing gap, this is a drop in the ocean compared to what needs to be done. Nevertheless, a small drop of water can be extremely powerful if we know where we are heading. With the limited resources available, how do we ensure that all the transformational work we do and all the partnership that we foster led to sustainable impact? As an environmental lawyer and politician, I believe that the answers lie in the political agenda at the country level. National policies must be coherent and aligned with each other and around nature conservation. This continues to be a huge challenge. I would like to see policymakers and lawmakers listen to our voices, examine our databases of projects and evidence, and take the right actions. And so the GEF is beginning to look more intensively at how our programming can be further supporting this agenda. As you can see, we have a very ambitious work program for GEF 8, and we're already looking ahead, thinking about GEF 9. We're a big family with unmatched passion, love, and respect for the environment, and I think that we have every ingredient necessary for success. You are all now a part of this family, a part of this plan. I'm delighted to welcome you to the GEF family, and I'm very much looking forward to working with every single one of you. Thank you so much.
All right. That was the CEO, Carlos Manuel, welcoming you all, and let me echo that to the GEF family. And now let me turn directly, as you can see from the agenda, to our next speaker. This is Claude Gascon. He is our newly appointed, although he's been with us for quite some time now, Director of Strategy and Operations in the GEF Secretariat. Claude, if you're there, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Peter. And thank you to our CEO, Carlos Manuel, for the introductory remarks. As Peter just mentioned, I'm Claude Gascon. I'm the Director of Strategy and Operations at the GEF. The Global Environment Facility is a fairly complex organization, as you will learn in the next 3 days. We do have a very important mandate to deliver global environmental benefits. The business model that we operate under is complex in the sense that we have countries making commitments on multilateral environmental agreements, and the Secretariat is here to service countries and support countries, providing resources for them to deliver on their commitments to the multilateral environmental agreements. We have agencies that also support countries and serve as implementing agencies to advance these projects. Our main mandate, and this is very important to remember because everything that we do is aimed towards our fiduciary mission, which is to deliver global environmental benefits. Everything that we have and that we support countries is aimed at maximizing the use of resources for delivering global environmental benefits along the 6 different conventions that we serve. As you'll see, this introductory seminar is just the start of the engagement with countries and agencies. We aim to have a very productive dialogue over the next 3 days on a whole series of topics that are important for you to understand how the GEF operates, the different pieces of the GEF partnership, and how they need to be aligned to be able to deliver on our mission. This is just the start of the interaction that we hope to have with each and every one of you. And we will be talking about the way that the GEF can engage with countries in a session very soon this morning. But I would like to just reiterate that the GEF Secretariat is here to service and support countries. And as I mentioned, this is just the first interaction. Please remember that you can come to the GEF Secretariat, to any one of our staff, to the regional teams and the support programs to ask for any kind of support to enable you as a country to fulfill your mandate within the environmental conventions that we all are here to serve. So thank you very much. And I hope we have a very productive 3 days.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Claude. Thanks for the opening remarks and helping us frame the purpose of our meetings and to get us going. And we will have Claude and the teams back later, as Claude alluded to, so for an opportunity to ask questions and have discussion with all. So let me move to right now the next item of our agenda, which is a little bit more on the objectives and the overall agenda of the sessions. I think we might be sharing a slide with the agenda on it, so we'll have a chance to see it. And I think, will it be SJ? Will you walk us through this?
Yes, I'm ready. Okay, thank you.
Very good.
Very good. Thank you very much. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. I know many of you attended our last introduction seminar in February. Backed by very popular demand, we are very pleased to offer another seminar for this year. So now going forward, we'll organize GEF Introduction Seminar virtually twice a year. As Carlos Manuel mentioned, GEF Introduction Seminar is the key outreach event demonstrating our wide reach and inclusiveness. Keeping this in mind, we have very carefully designed our program to make sure our materials will be useful for all our participants here today, with a very wide range of GEF knowledge and experience. In the next 3 days, you will learn about the GEF and meet GEF colleagues, as well as several guest speakers from GEF partners. So let's see. Today, day 1, our program will cover GEF governance, partnership, and communications. Tomorrow, day 2, at the same time, is about GEF funding, programming, operations, and project monitoring and result. Now, finally, Wednesday, day 3, still same time, exactly same time. Day 3 features civil society, small grant program, policy framework, and we have exciting good project example sharing. As we did in the past, we created a dedicated website. Many thanks to Christina and our communication team. You can find all the reference materials from the GEF acronym list to GEF 8 funding structure, programming policy documents, geospatial platform, and agency fact sheets, and so on. Christina, if you can put our website link on the chat. And at the end of each day, we will upload all the presentation material slides on our website. And yes, we will record this seminar and upload the entire recording on this website. Next slide, Ted. On this introduction seminar website, you will see this interactive. Christina is the mastermind behind this introduction seminar. I'm sure everybody knows Christina. And Ted take care of all the technical aspect behind the scene, sharing videos and slides. And Regin's there. Regin will make sure we're on schedule, proceed according to our run of show. And Ala here, Ala is the country officer for Eastern Europe and West Asia. On the last day, on Wednesday, she will introduce one of her focal points who will share experience as a GEF focal points. Now, once again, thank you very much for your participation. And let me bring our master MC Peter back to lead our most exciting session next.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
Peter.
you very much, SJ. Hello again, everybody. I hope the review of the agenda that we're going to go through is helpful. Now we've started to say hello to the organizing team, but for the next few minutes, what we'd like to do is try and see if we can say a little bit hello to each other. We're going to experiment here. I see that some folks are already saying hello on the chat, so I would encourage that during this session. But what we're going to try and do, let me just call it a global wave. Like, you know, when you have in the stadium, if you're watching a football or a soccer match or, you know, something like that, you go all the way around and everybody rises up and says hello. So what I'm going to do, and I want you to get ready to turn your screens on. I don't know if you can see in this camera. Yeah, there you go. I have a globe right in front of me, and it spins with that wonderful background image. And so what I'm going to do is ask everybody, starting from the Pacific Island states, East Asia, and in that part of the world, in that part of the globe, Australia, New Zealand, I'm looking at, this is my son's globe right now that I'm looking at it from school, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Japan, Korea, all of those countries. I don't want to miss any, so I won't try to say any. Please turn your screen on. Turn on your screen. If we can do that, Christina, can we allow folks to turn on their screens? Let's see, and I would like you to turn on your speakers as well. And I'd like everybody in that part of the world just to come in and say hello and maybe say your name and where you are.
Yes, Peter, everybody can turn their screens on by just clicking on the start video button next to their audio button.
Okay, so please go ahead and turn on your video and come in and say hello. That part of the world, is anybody out there?
Hello, but we cannot
Hello.
open the camera.
Hello from the Philippines.
Hello, Philippines.
Are you not able to turn your cameras on?
There is a
Cannot.
restriction from the host. I'm sorry.
Oh, really?
There's a
It's written that
restriction.
we cannot open it.
Okay.
Greetings from Kazakhstan.
Hello, Kazakhstan. Well, just say hello. In the meantime, we'll try and solve the
try
video
now.
problem.
Try now if you can.
Hello, greetings from Rwanda. This is Benjamin Kabandana.
Hello, Benjamin. Good to see you. Good to hear your voice.
Thank you.
Hello from India.
Hello, that was from India.
Yes.
Hello from Indonesia.
Hello, Indonesia.
Hello from Uganda.
Afghanistan.
Hello, Afghanistan. Hello, was that? Yeah, hello. Hello, Thailand.
Hello, friend from Tanzania.
Hello,
Hello
Tanzania.
from Kenya.
And Kenya too. Hello.
Togo.
Hello, hello. Mufade from Malawi.
Hello
Hello,
from
Malawi.
Cameroon.
Hello, Cameroon.
Hello from Nepal.
Hello
Hello
from
from Kuwait. Hello from
Okay.
Azerbaijan.
Hello, Azerbaijan.
Ivory Coast.
As you can see, we're moving from the Eastern Asia, the Pacific, all across the globe
Yeah.
into Central Asia, South Asia. We're getting into Africa, Eastern Europe. Keep coming in.
from West Africa, Sierra Leone.
Hello,
I'm from Thailand. Hi.
Hello from Brazzaville.
Hello, Brazzaville. Wow.
Hello from the UK.
Hello from Najib Rahman from Afghanistan. Hello.
Hello, yes, we
Hello
hear you
from
very well.
Kenya.
Hello from Kuwait.
Hello from South Africa.
Hello from Tanzania.
Hello, Tanzania, Kuwait.
Hello from France.
Hello, France. Nice
Hello
to see
from
you.
Lesotho.
Hello from Zimbabwe.
Malawi, this
Hello
is
from
Indonesia.
Indonesia.
Hello from Burkina Faso.
Hello, Congo, and whoever that was. Yes, hello. Good to hear your voices.
From Geneva.
Hello from Mozambique.
Hello, Geneva and Mozambique. Let's keep moving across this globe. I'm spinning my
Hello
son's
from
globe.
Morocco.
Another hello from Kenya.
Hello from Brussels.
Hello from
Tunisia.
Hello from South Africa. Hello from Italy.
Hello,
Hello
Italy.
from Ukraine.
And Ukraine. My goodness, wow.
Hello
It's so
from
nice
Kenya.
to see everybody. Keep turning your videos on. I'm going to keep spinning the globe. We're going into the Atlantic Ocean. We're going across into, let's say, South America, Central America, the Caribbean, North America, Canada. Do I see any more folks wanting to come in?
Hi all. Nice to see you all from Spain.
Hello from
Hi
Spain.
here.
Hello from China and Tobago.
Hello
Hi
from
from
United
Argentina.
States.
Hello from Panama.
Hello from Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Hello from Costa Rica.
Peru.
Hola, Perú.
Excellent. I see South
Hello
America.
from Panama. Hello from Panama.
Hello
from Egypt.
Peru. Hola.
Peru. Jamaica. Hello, Jamaica.
Hello
Zimbabwe.
from Kenya.
All
Hello
right.
from Brazil.
Hello, Brazil. Very
Hello
good.
from Canada.
Hello, Canada. Okay.
Hello
Wow.
from Paraguay.
Hello, Paraguay. Nice to see you. My goodness.
Hello
All right.
from United States.
Hello. Okay, from the United States.
Hello from the States.
Hello.
Hello from Canada.
Hello from Argentina.
Hello, Argentina.
Hi from Nigeria.
Wow. All right. Well,
And hello from Trinidad and Tobago again.
hello, Trinidad and Tobago. So nice to see you. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Hello from Slovenia.
Hello, Slovenia. You're
From
catching up to this
Philippines.
hemisphere. Yeah. Yeah. Who was that?
From Philippines again.
From the Philippines again. Nice to hear you. Nice to see you. My goodness. Must be a little bit late over there, I suppose. Well, we're all in different time zones. So we're going to try and keep on the time so we can manage to have folks not up too early and not up too late. But thank you, everybody, for that little bit of an experiment. It's not exactly a global wave, but we could try and call it that. It's really nice to see you. I would encourage you, here and there, as much as possible, to keep your screens on. It's so nice to see your faces and to hear your voices. As I mentioned, one of the goals we have is to start to get to know each other. The CEO, as you heard, who was that?
Société Civile Mali.
Hello. Okay. Well, nice to hear your voice. As you saw the CEO and Claude in the opening remarks, we want to get to know each other. We're a partnership, but we're also in a way a family. And so when we know each other, when we get to see each other, we can do more work. We can work better together, and we can really appreciate, I think, the amazing qualities of the GEF partnership that bring us all together. Okay, so let us bring to a gradual close the wave across the globe. Thanks also for coming in on the chat messages. I see from Uruguay. Thank you, everybody, for waking us all up, at least on these early morning time zone hours, and coming in to say hello. So now let's take a deep breath. Me too. Let's pause for a second. And I think we're on a very good time frame to move to the next part of our agenda. As we have mentioned from the beginning, this is an introduction seminar and session to talk about who we are, what we do, and get to know each other. And so we're going to start out right now with something right on that frame of thinking, which is the next topic on the agenda. What is the GEF? And we're going to talk in this session about the GEF's mandate and governance first, and then the country engagement strategy second, which Claude alluded to. And so if I have my notes right, we'll start off with what is GEF mandate and governance. Jonathan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Peter. Hi, everyone.
Okay, let me introduce you. Jonathan, while you can introduce yourself, is our interim manager in charge of the policy, partnership, and operations part of the GEF Secretariat. Jonathan, the floor is yours. And thanks, everybody, for saying hello.
Great, thanks, Peter. Yeah, I kind of would like to have that session just keep on going, and it's great to see everybody as you spun the globe. Claude,
I think we have yeah, this is the English channel. I hear Spanish.
everything okay with the interpretation at this point? So, Claude started to speak a little bit about the mandate of the GEF and who we are. Maybe to introduce myself, I'm Jonathan Caldecott. I work in the policy and operations group at the Secretariat. So as Peter said, I'll speak a little bit about the overall mandate and governance of the GEF. Again, this is an introduction seminar, so it's some people know a lot about the GEF, but it's good to start with some of the fundamentals and the details of who we are so that everyone's on the same page. So how is the GEF different from the multitude of other funds out there and groups that are funding in this space for the environment? How are we structured? If you're like me, you probably like to know how things work so that and who makes decisions so that you can help make the GEF work for you in the best possible way. So let's go to the first slide, please. So the GEF is a global partnership. It's the largest multilateral fund serving as the financial mechanism for all of the key international conventions. It was established on the eve of the 1992 Rio Earth Summit. So we've been around for about 30 years now. And again, it's a partnership that relies on the experience and the expertise of all of its members. So that is implementing agencies, countries, and in fact, the GEF agencies are key to this, as the GEF itself doesn't implement projects. It's the 18 agencies that are responsible for the supervision and implementation of all of our projects. So insofar as we serve as a mechanism for funding the conventions, the scope of our work is really only expanding at this point. As some of you may know, we were recently asked to serve as the financial mechanism to support marine biodiversity beyond national jurisdictions, the BBNJ, and also to stand up a new fund for biodiversity. So our mandate really is only growing at this point. We provide funding to assist developing countries and countries with economies in transition in meeting the objectives of these international conventions that you see here, while also delivering on global environmental benefits. So in terms of the funding that we've provided to date, since we were inaugurated, we provided more than $22 billion US dollars in grants and blended finance, and we've mobilized an additional 120 billion in co-financing. We have about 5,200 projects that we've done so far, projects and programs. And then while that's an interesting input, I think everyone will be interested to know a little bit more about what we've achieved with that. So we have some data and some lessons and stories from across the partnership that we'll be sharing over the coming 3 days. And that's really where things are most interesting. So next slide, please. So yes, on the governance, just an overview of how we're structured. So you know how things work at the GEF. We have 185 member countries. We take guidance from the conventions, and we also report to them on the activities undertaken. So this is a Very busy season, as many of you know, in this area. So we will be active in the various COPs and reporting to them, so that's how we interact with the conventions. The GEF Council is the decision-making body. Normally meets twice a year. It was normally in person in Washington, but we've gone into a more flexible mode recently. It consists of 32 constituencies, so all of the countries are represented through the council, through those constituencies. Decisions are taken by consensus, and that's based on the information, the recommendations, and the support that we provide as the Secretariat. And the Secretariat, we have about 70 staff at the moment. Carlos Manuel at the beginning talked about how we're needing to reform and expand to meet the expanding mandate of the GEF. So stay tuned. We'll be working very hard on that in the coming months. The Secretariat is housed for administrative purposes within the World Bank, as we're not our own legal entity like some other organizations. So we rely on a host, which is the World Bank. We work very closely with these three other entities listed here: the Independent Evaluation Office, the Scientific and Technical Advisory Panel, that's STAP, and they review project design and provide advice on projects to council, and also the trustee, which is again part of the World Bank Group. They sign all the agreements, they hold the money and invest it, and make sure that all the fiduciary standards are upheld. So you'll hear from each of these groups over the coming days, so I won't go into too much detail. At the country level, the GEF operational and political focal points are our main contacts. The convention focal points are obviously very important: civil society, indigenous people, and private sector are also key stakeholders in GEF operations. So the countries can select any agency, any of the 18 GEF agencies, to implement projects, engage with local civil society organizations, with the private sector, with academia, local communities, to design and execute. So on the far right bottom corner of the slide there's the executing agencies, which are critical at the local level. They are responsible for the actual project execution on the ground. These are normally national or regional organizations, and they receive the funding under the supervision and implementation of a GEF agency. So this is key really to the country-driven model of the GEF. Next slide, please. So these are the GEF agencies, the 18 at the moment. Some of them are large organizations with global reach. We have a bit of an acronym soup here. And I think we have a guide at some point in all of the material that we've presented, a guide to the acronyms of the GEF. But these are all very well-known, familiar organizations that have global reach. Some are work in the regional space, and then we also have some that are working only at the national level. We see FECO here in China and Fundio in Brazil. In general, the GEF model is that the agencies have the capacity to work at a broad level to achieve, again, global environmental benefits, and to translate lessons learned from one region to another, and to operate at scale. So to bring the work that we do up to scale. Next slide, please. I'll speak a little bit about the how we do this. So this is the architecture within the GEF family. We have a number of trust funds that are held at the World Bank. The main one is the GEF Trust Fund that you see here that supports work in these 6 areas, as well as in integrated programs and other areas. This is the one that was most recently replenished at 5.3 billion, which was a record GEF 8 replenishment. So it supports, as I said, not only work in these areas, but also enabling activities and other things. There are 4 other trust funds, however, that we have, and they're listed here. We've got the Least Developed Countries Fund, the SCCF, and the Capacity Building Initiative for Transparency that support additional work in climate change adaptation. And then we also have here on the far right the Nagoya Protocol Trust Fund, and the most recent Global Biodiversity Framework Fund that I mentioned that we're in the middle of standing up. It was approved by Council this year, and we're presently working very hard with the trustee and other parts of the partnership to set it up so that it can receive contributions and start funding projects as soon as possible in 2024. Next slide, please. So just very quickly, we'll speak a little bit about this later, but this is how we're funded. We run on a 4-year replenishment cycle, and GEF 8 marked the largest replenishment amount, 5.33 billion. We had 39 donor nations pledge support for our Healthy Planet, Healthy People vision and strategy. So the GEF is a country-driven model, country-driven partnership, which means that the Secretariat helps provide the overall strategy, but it's the countries that use the GEF funding to meet the national priorities and the environmental commitments, working with, of course, the GEF agencies to design projects that meet their needs using grants, blended finance, and other mechanisms. So just to conclude on this one, about half of the GEF main trust fund resources are allocated to countries in accordance with a need and performance-based allocation system. This is called STAR, which is the System for Transparent Allocation of Resources. We'll talk a little bit about how this works later, but it's agreed. It's based on an agreed formula that's negotiated during the replenishment process, using various indicators that reflect global environmental benefits, countries' capacity to deliver, and economic need, among others. So with that, I hope I've given you a sort of bird's eye view of how the GEF functions. And at this point, I'd like to turn over back over to Claude Gascon, Director of Strategy and Operations, to speak a little bit about a very important and interesting element of what we do. That's the country engagement strategy. So this introduction seminar is part of that, but there's much more, and it's quite exciting. So I'll turn it over to Claude to speak to you about this one. Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan, for the great introduction, and welcome again to those of you who have just joined. My name, as Jonathan just mentioned, is Claude Gascon. I'm the Director of Strategy and Operations, and I'll show you about 9 slides just to get us started on the country engagement strategy. Next slide, please. As we mentioned, the GEF Secretariat is part of the GEF partnership, but its main purpose is to serve countries and support countries in their mandate to deliver on their commitments to multilateral environmental agreements that we've just presented to you. We have 6 conventions that we service and that we serve as funding mechanism. Therefore, we receive resources from donor countries to provide resources to recipient countries for them to fulfill their commitments. In the past, since our inception, we have had a very successful country support program that has provided a variety of services to engage with countries. This has been expanded in the last couple of years under GEF 8, under the 8th cycle, the replenishment cycle, to build on the success of the country support program with a lot more upstream engagement activities that we had already been performing, but that we put together in a comprehensive strategy on how the GEF Secretariat should support and engage with countries to deliver on our global mandate. Next slide, please. The several slides that I'll present will just basically list the different services and resources that are available to countries to make sure that countries are able to submit strong and ambitious projects, participate in programs that use resources of the GEF with the main purpose of delivering global environmental benefits. So there are about 8 or so types of resources that are available. These are described in a paper that was presented to our council last December of 2022, if you're interested in a lot more detail. Each of these elements that I'll be presenting on these slides has resources available, meaning we have money to be able to provide these services either directly to countries or in the form of organizing workshops and seminars such as the one that we're hosting today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. One of these services is what we call upstream technical meetings, and these provide technical and strategic support to GEF stakeholders and recipient countries with the objective to establish a common understanding of the GEF strategies, in this case, the GEF 8 programming directions document, and the commitment to deliver on global environmental benefits. These upstream technical meetings are achieved through strategic engagement with countries where we present the GEF 8 programming directions. The different components of that are the integrated programs, the focal area strategies, in a very direct and interactive way. When planning these engagement operational focal points of those countries, GEF technical staff continue providing technical support during portfolio development. And so these upstream technical meetings usually are done in the first 12 to 18 months of a cycle, which is about now. And they are basically the first entry point that we have with countries to ensure that countries understand how much resources they have at their disposal through the GEF 8 cycle, that we can then provide support upstream in terms of the strategic use of those resources, but also follow up and support countries in the development of their portfolio of projects and project design, and eventually in project review, so that we can present these projects and the programs to council and make sure that they are funded. Next slide, please. The national dialogues are kind of an event that we support countries in hosting, and these usually follow or go in close proximity with the upstream technical dialogues, where we convene and countries lead this process of convening all the national stakeholders in a country to jointly discuss and decide on the programming of GEF's resources in that country, and also to promote policy coherence in each country. As I mentioned, these national dialogues on programming usually complement or are associated with upstream national dialogues as necessary in a particular country. And obviously, since these are aimed at figuring out the best use of a cycles, which is a 4-year envelope of resources, the best use of the resources in a 4-year cycle, these national dialogues usually take place, again, usually during the 18 to 24 month initial stages of a 4-year cycle. Next slide, please. We also have resources to host a variety of types of workshops. These include expanded constituency workshops, stakeholder empowerment series, and other types of thematic workshops. These workshops are either held in person or virtually as appropriate. The Secretariat usually organizes about 11 in-person ECWs, or expanded constituency workshops, during a year, inviting GEF focal points, convention focal points, and civil society representatives. We also host usually about 3 virtual stakeholder empowerment series to allow stakeholders from different time zones to participate, and up to about 15 thematic workshops to be held in person or virtually at the request of operational focal points, GEF Secretariat, or agency staff. Next slide, please. The introduction seminars, well, you're participating in these as we speak. These provide training and relevant information for an enhanced understanding of the GEF, its policies and operations, to new agency staff, operational focal points, selected stakeholders, as well as new convention secretariat staff. We usually organize about 2 virtual introduction seminars a year. We have come to understand that there's a fair amount of turnover in the people that are responsible for the GEF portfolio, either in countries or in agencies. And it's important that everybody, as they assume these positions, or even as they are in the functions themselves, that they are continuously updated on the functioning of the GEF as a partnership and of the GEF Secretariat as an organization. Next slide, please. We have also constituency meetings and pre-council meetings, and these will continue to be the main tool for council members and alternates within a constituency to prepare for decision-making at the GEF Council. We have 2 council meetings a year. These are fairly important decision-making events. They usually have a fairly loaded agenda, and to ensure that council members and alternates are prepared to discuss and make decisions, we provide these kinds of constituency meetings and pre-council meetings to countries and constituencies. Each constituency may request up to 2 meetings per calendar year, usually to be held before council meetings. The Secretariat will organize up to 2 meetings per year at the request of council members. Virtual constituency meetings can also be organized in case a constituency requests additional meetings to discuss specific issues of interest. The pre-council meetings of recipient council members will continue supporting council members and alternates to discuss issues of interest on the council agenda, exchange views on these topics, and develop common positions before a council meeting. As I mentioned, these council meetings sometimes have agenda items that are fairly complex, and we need constituencies and council members to be well prepared. And these kinds of meetings provide that venue to hash out and discuss these topics and come up with agreed upon positions that they then present at the council meeting. Next slide, please. We also have resources within the country engagement strategy to provide financial support to GEF operational focal points to enable them to effectively oversee and monitor their GEF portfolio. We have come to understand that operational focal points in a lot of recipient countries don't necessarily have specific budgets to perform their GEF operational focal point roles. We have set aside resources in the GEF 8 country engagement strategy budget to be able to support OFPs. And these resources, although they have not been dispersed yet, we are working to find a way to provide these resources directly to GEF OFPs, and they will be used for activities such as field visits to projects and other types of activities that are crucial for the OFPs to be able to be effective in their role as operational focal points of the GEF. Next slide, please. As part of the country engagement strategy, we also have included resources to advance the knowledge exchange and learning component and strategy of the GEF. We have presented a separate knowledge management and learning strategy to our council just in October of this year. This was approved, and the resources that are dedicated in the country engagement strategy will be made available to the GEF partnership to be able to advance this strategy. This will be put into effect very soon, and we hope to be able to engage all elements of the GEF partnership in many of the components of the knowledge exchange and learning strategy. Next slide, please. And finally, we have been able to provide resources, and council very generously approved an envelope of resources to put together a legacy program in honor of our dear departed director, Gustavo Fonseca. We have called this the Gustavo Fonseca Youth Conservation Leadership Program. These resources will provide direct support to recipient country youth conservation leaders in the areas of graduate studies support, so that young conservation leaders can get master's and PhD programs in the areas that are relevant to the GEF. We will also support fieldwork in conservation by young conservation leaders. We will provide support to young leaders to be able to participate in international policy meetings of all kinds, not just the COPs, but other types of international policy meetings. And finally, we will be hosting youth leadership summits every year to bring together the young conservation leaders of the future to be able to interact in venues with established conservation leaders, policy leaders, and others, so that they can start to develop their own career paths that hopefully will enrich the GEF partnership as well as provide the next generation of conservation and environmental leaders for the betterment of the global environment. Let me stop here. These elements, as I mentioned, are all included in a paper that is on our website called the Country Engagement Strategy, and you can have a lot more detail on each of these elements, but please do come to us with any questions on the use of these resources, and we can support you in accessing those resources. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Claude, and thank you so much, Jonathan, as well. You've just heard, we're starting to dive in. We're diving in fast. We had Jonathan talk about the GEF's mandate, the GEF's governance, and Claude about the new country engagement strategy, building on the long-standing country support program. So we're starting to talk a little bit about what we do, who we are, and then how we do it. But still today, in a bit of an overview mode, we're going to dive into these subjects in more detail later on. What I'd like to do now, and I see some questions coming in from the chat already, is to open this up for, we have about 15 minutes of a chance for questions and answers. I've taken notes of the questions that have come in on the chat so far, just to say a couple, one of them on how does the GEF take input from civil society, asking about whether an advisory group of young people, a civil society would be helpful. Also funding for Indigenous young leaders. There was a question about civil society groups in the getting more engaged in the National Small Grants Program application and selection process. Question about the difference between implementing agencies and executing entities and how many trust funds we are. So maybe with that quick set of questions, I could ask Jonathan or Claude if you'd like to say a few things, and then I would invite others starting now to put a question in the chat box. We're 315 strong. So one of the things we're doing here is having the team answer the questions in the chat as well. But I'd like to give the space for Claude and Jonathan to say a few things as well. Jonathan or Claude, do you want to come in on those questions we have so far?
Sure. Thanks, Peter. Let me just start with the one on implementing and executing, which is often something that trips some people up because different terms are used by different organizations, and it's in terms of the hierarchy of how the GEF works. There are 18 GEF agencies that are the legal entities that are responsible and accountable through agreements, formal legal agreements with the trustee for implementing the decisions that are made by council. So council makes a decision related to funding that then gets interpreted into the agreement with the trustee, the financial procedures agreement. The agency is then responsible for working with the country on finding the appropriate executing entity on the ground to execute the project and to then report back on results. So this idea is that there's a separation of function. There is an entity that supervises and oversees the work that's done by the executing entity. And as I said, the GEF is a country-driven model. We want our interventions to be durable, sustainable, and so the model is that it's a local or a regional organization that is executing on the ground through this relationship with the GEF agency. We'll go into a bit more on that tomorrow. As Quinn mentioned in the chat, we'll go into some of the details on the project and program cycle and on the fiduciary standards and other details there. On the question about Indigenous peoples, we'll also hear later about our Indigenous Peoples Advisory Group. So there is a formal way for that kind of interaction with IPLCs. There is also a GEF CSO network, and we'll hear more about that. And that's a way also for civil society organizations to engage with the GEF. It's not the only way, but it's a key way, a key entry point into the GEF partnership. I think that sort of covered the ones
Yeah,
in my
yeah,
wheelhouse.
very good. Yeah, thanks, Jonathan. I see Claude. I see a question from Burkina Faso about how young students can try for the funds in the Gustavo Fonseca program.
Yes, that's going to be, in fact, launched very soon in the next couple of weeks. We have spent the last year in developing a set of partnerships specifically for the graduate fellowships as well as the fieldwork support. And these will cover all recipient countries, and they will be done either through organizations that already had programs of providing scholarships to graduate students, or through universities and academic institutions that will also be opening up their doors. The resources will be aimed at allowing students to have financial support to be able to focus entirely on their graduate work, which is usually a very important limiting factor for developing country students. So please visit our website in the next couple of weeks and you will have information. We will also be launching this program officially, and all OFPs and agency leads will be receiving specific information on how to access these funds in the coming weeks. Thank you.
Natalia, mention dapat.
Thanks, Claude. I see a couple more questions have come in that are new. The questions again about civil society and youth, as it's been mentioned in the chat, there will be dedicated sessions on those in the coming days. But a couple of questions to either Claude or Jonathan. What happens if there are human rights violations in the context of GEF's work or organized crime? Who gets involved? How much will be the minimum or maximum of OFP support fund? That's for you, Claude, I think, on the country engagement strategy. And then the last one, how does GEF engage with regional or Pan-African networks that are not country-based, but provide a platform for members? Claude, you want to start?
Yes, probably the first question is for you as conflict resolution commissioner.
Yeah, I'll take
but
it.
let me address the two other questions. We have again new support, but it's somewhat limited when you divide the sum of our resources in 144 different countries to provide support directly to OFPs. I think we have in the order of $15,000 or $20,000, which will be available to each OFP in each country. As I said, we're trying to find the easiest way / mechanism to get these resources to the OFPs. Obviously, we can't provide cash directly, but we are working on a way to get this money available. So hopefully, this will be done in the next couple of months. In this last or following question on how we engage with regional Pan-African networks, for example, the GEF Secretariat has about 70 technical and operations and policy staff. About 25 or so or 30 of these are organized under regional teams. These regional teams have a wide variety of technical expertise that covers all of our different focal areas, from biodiversity to climate change to land degradation, et cetera. And these regional teams are basically the entry point for the country engagement strategy, for countries to come to us and ask and receive services and support in their mandate to put together projects and programs. This is the team, if you will, that engages on a one-on-one basis with countries, but it's also the teams that engage with regional and or global entities, as mentioned in the question. These regional entities usually have direct relevance to also supporting countries in a variety of environmental mandates, and therefore it's important for the GEF Secretariat to be able to interact with these. But we will only provide funding that will engage some of these entities if it is aimed at supporting countries in their mandate to deliver global environmental benefits on the different conventions. So the answer is we do engage, but it's as a direct support mechanism for countries to be able to be effective in the use of GEF resources.
Thanks, Claude. You'll see there's another question for you about the Nagoya Protocol, but let me come in on the question about human rights. As I mentioned at the beginning, I am GEF's Conflict Resolution Commissioner. The GEF, we'll talk more about it later, has in place safeguard policies, environmental and social safeguard policies, a requirement for free, prior, informed consent, also fiduciary standards that set and establish protections against harm, protections relating to human rights in relation to all GEF programming and operations. And we also have a system of conflict resolution to help make sure these policies are followed, and most importantly, to give a voice and an avenue for communities and people who might be affected by GEF-funded projects, which could sometimes be in an unintended negative way, or if there are human rights issues, other types of issues. The conflict resolution system creates a mechanism for complaints. Sorry? Okay, so this system of conflict resolution creates an avenue for communities, for people to bring complaints and concerns to the attention of the implementing agencies who have investigative bodies who have a requirement to respond to concerns, be they human rights or other types of concerns. There have been issues associated with some GEF-funded projects. These are listed on the GEF website. I'll talk more about them later. For example, in the case of protected areas, in some situations, there have been serious concerns about people losing access, traditional local communities losing access to the areas, difficulties and violence that might have arisen. So the GEF has a system in place for all of these things. We take it very seriously if such problems arise, and we'll talk more about this. Thank you very much for that very important question when we get into the policies and the safeguards. So I think Claude, I see a question about the Nagoya Protocol Fund.
Yeah, I just answered in the chat. I'll provide more detailed information in the chat.
Okay, I see a few other questions, this might be our last set. How is the GEF portfolio evolving in a world of forest displacement, environmental degradation, transboundary proposals, multi-stakeholder approaches, proposals, and then either of you on how GEF is evolving?
Yes, as this question alludes to, the world is a changing environment. The GEF has to adapt to these changing conditions. Obviously, the GEF is a non-political entity. We do provide resources according to the guidance that we receive from the different COPs of the conventions that we serve. Within that, we do have a role to ensure that the resources are used and applied to environmental issues in the most efficient, effective, and ambitious way. This has led the GEF to move from a funding facility that was very reactive to a funding facility that is much more proactive in working with countries and agencies to develop projects and programs that will hopefully use the best science, as well as try and integrate the use of resources across the different conventions. And so we now have in GEF 8 approximately 40% of our resources that are used to fund the participation of countries in integrated programs, such as sustainable cities, such as critical forest biomes, and 9 other such programs. These programs bring countries together to try and address the drivers of environmental degradation, whether it's deforestation or unsustainable use of resources in urban contexts, and as well as working together towards trying to achieve some kind of transformation in these different economic systems. And so we really try and bring together countries in ways that address the commitments that they have made on the multilateral environmental agreements, but in ways that will more effectively start to address the actual drivers of environmental degradation and not just the symptoms. So this does imply a lot of work that is regional or global in nature. It does require the GEF to bring together dozens of countries and agencies and focus on a common vision and a common set of objectives at the programmatic level. But this has been the evolution of the GEF over the past 2 cycles, GEF 6 and GEF 7. And in GEF 8, as I mentioned, it materializes into about 40% of the resources that will be channeled through these big integrated programs. We also have the International Waters Focal Area, which by definition is transboundary. This focal area addresses both freshwater and marine transboundary issues of governance and resource management and conservation. And by definition, as I just mentioned, these projects or programs under the International Waters Focal Area will always include 2 or more countries, because we are addressing transboundary or regional issues of marine and freshwater conservation. Thank you.
And Peter.
Thanks, Claude. Yeah, Jonathan, you're
Yeah,
gonna have the last
just,
go here.
Yeah,
as we're
2 very
to
quick
finish
points,
the
because
session.
we're right up against the end of this session. I wanted to add to what Claude mentioned, that we have also really overhauled the results measurement and monitoring framework for the GEF in the GEF 7 and GEF 8 period. So we now have a way of tracking results and monitoring and reporting back on that. And then the other point I wanted to make, just to add to what you said, Peter, the 18 agencies that we have to meet minimum standards. So we have 4 key minimum standards, and I'll speak to those in the session on policy. But environmental and social standards, social safeguards, stakeholder engagement, gender equality, and then of course the fiduciary standards. And so each of the agencies have to meet these standards, which include things like whistleblower protection and how issues are reported within their systems. And as you said, Peter, the first line of defense for any issues is the agency's own systems. So deal with the agencies who are responsible for addressing any issues. And then if there are residual and other things, then we have the conflict resolution mechanism within the Secretariat to help deal with those. So I just wanted to add that. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Claude. And thanks to everybody for that session and for the great questions and a bit of discussion we have, 315 strong. It's really appreciated. This was starting up into the material. It was an overview presented by Claude and Jonathan of what we do at a higher elevation level, so we can get the big picture before we go into each of these topics in more detail. And then who we are, the governance, the different parts of the GEF family, the partnership. And of course, Claude then presented in a little bit more detail one of our really great initiatives, important initiatives, the GEF's country engagement strategy. So now we're going to keep going on the agenda, and we're going to, let's say we'll keep going more on who we are and what we do, depending on who we are in the GEF partnership. And we're going to go through, we're going to have a chance to meet and hear introductions of the work of some of the big partners in the GEF partnership. And I think the first of them on this agenda now is the Scientific and Technical Advisory Panel, which is the STAP. They will start, and then we'll have the GEF Independent Evaluation Office, IEO, GEF IEO. Both of these organizations will tell us about their work for the GEF partnership, starting with the STAP. I think it's Sunday. Sunday, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you well, and we see you too. The floor is yours.
Excellent. Thank you very much, and thanks to the GEF for giving staff an opportunity to tell participants about our work and our role within the GEF partnership. So what is the STAP? The STAP mandate is to provide independent scientific and technical advice to the GEF on its policy, strategy, programs and projects. So in the setup of the GEF, it's very clear that environmental issues are science-based, and it's very important that whatever intervention or investment the GEF made on environmental issues should be supported by credible science, and that's where the staff comes in. Because we look at the science, the latest knowledge on science, and then bring that into the GEF partnership. I have here where we are within the partnership. I think this has been discussed earlier on, but the staff reports to the council. But overall, our goal is to work with the whole members of the GEF partnership to achieve the mandate of the GEF, which is to deliver global environment benefits. So in everything that we do in the staff, we think, how can we support the GEF? How can we help the GEF partnership to achieve its mandate? Here I show the members of the panel. So the staff consists of a panel of leading scientists and experts from across the globe. We have experts from different parts of the world. These panel members provide support to the GEF. They are actually the advisors to the GEF, but they are supported by a secretariat, which is hosted by UNEP. UNEP being one of the founding agency of the GEF, together with the World Bank and UNDP, was given the role of hosting the staff, possibly because UNEP is a science-based organization, so maybe the right place for the staff to be hosted. So myself and my team members are based in Washington, D.C., a few walking distance from the GEF Secretariat at the UNEP office. The staff is led by Professor Rosina Beabom, who has been the staff chair for close to 10 years now. And then we have panel members that support the different focal areas of the GEF. So we have a panel member for climate change mitigation, another for chemicals and waste, biodiversity, land degradation, adaptation, and international waters. Panel members usually serve on the panel for 2 years, and it's also renewable for another 2 years. So in the next few months, we'll have 2 panel members that will be transitioning out. Grazela will be our land degradation panel member, will be transitioning out, and Ed for climate change adaptation will also be leaving the staff. So the recruitment process is ongoing for that. And I believe some of us on this meeting would have received the advert for the job. So we encourage you to help us disseminate it, and so that we can get good candidates to apply for the role. Now, let me go more into what's our role within the GEF partnership. Normally, I describe this, I divide the role into three different roles. The first one is the advisory role. So we provide strategic policy, science policy advice to the GEF. We span the horizon, bringing the latest knowledge to the GEF. So we look at different topics. What are the different issues? What is the latest science, the state of the art in science related to the work of the GEF across the different focal area, as well as the different cross-cutting topics that the GEF is interested in. And we bring that knowledge, that latest science, to inform the work of the GEF, the policy of the GEF, the strategy of the GEF. So I highlighted here, prior to the start of the GEF 8 replenishment process, we developed our initial perspective, looking at what we think the GEF should consider as it plans to launch into the GEF 8 replenishment. So this is a very important role. And in doing this, we also interact with other relevant scientific bodies and experts, the scientific bodies of the different multilateral environmental agreements supported by the GEF, and also other science network across the globe. So one of the criteria that we emphasize for our panel members is to have a strong scientific network so that the knowledge and expertise within their network can be brought in to inform the work of the GEF. And then apart from bringing the science out there into the GEF, we also take the needs of the GEF, the scientific needs of the GEF, to the scientific community to inform the work of the scientific community. So, for example, we at the time we had we thought of the new technologies that are coming up, blockchain and the rest, and organize the workshop to help to bring in experts to help think through this new technology. How is it relevant to the work of the GEF, and how can the GEF take advantage of this technology in implementing its work? As part of this advisory role also, it's also involved providing technical guidance. So we prepare technical guidance, prepare reports, and so on. So every council, the staff always have some reports that we have developed to advise the GEF on its program, on its policy, and I will be highlighting some of those reports later on in my talk. The second role of the staff is the quality control aspect of our work, which involve reviewing full-size projects. So we apply evidence-based principles for good project design. We assess the quality of the science and technology in proposals and help validate aspiration for innovation, durability, and transformation. So more and more, especially with the GEF aid, the GEF is gearing itself to be an agent that will help lead or achieve transformation across the different environmental issues that we face. And we want to make sure that projects adequately have the kind of innovation, the kind of transformation that can help us achieve this goal. So part of our review is to look at what is innovative about projects, what is the science base of that project, and how can we achieve a good return on investment of the GEF. So we look at the quality of the science, and then we advise how can you improve the project. And it's very important to say that when we review a project, our goal is not to find what is wrong with projects. The goal of SAB as an advisory body is to look at how can these projects be improved, how can we maximize the return on GEF investment. So you will see that we want to see beyond the global environment benefit, what are the socioeconomic benefits that could come out of the project, and how can we make sure that those are maximized. And then we provide work program feedback to the GEF. So apart from the individual review of projects, we also, at the end of each work program, we put together our thinking, our finding on the whole set of work program, and feed that back to the GEF secretariat to help the GEF think through how they interact with agencies and encourage agencies to be able to improve the projects for the next work program. So I put here our staff screening guidelines. So our screening is not anything magical. It's not hidden. What we are looking for in projects is available in our screening guidelines. It's available on our website. And project designers, executive agencies can go through and see what we are going to be looking out for, even before they design their projects. Because overall, our goal is to help to improve projects. And the third role, which is becoming more and more prominent in our work now, is really providing programmatic policy and operational support to the work of the GEF. So supporting the GEF with training, for example, we realize that one of the important aspects of designing good projects is having a good theory of change. And we have worked with the GEF Secretariat to organize training on how to develop good theory of change. Those training are available online. we've also worked with the GEF Secretariat on how to design a good TIF. What do you look out for in a good project document? So that's one aspect in this role. Another aspect is the operationalization of the work of the GEF, especially as Claude and others have said in GEF 8, the GEF is focusing more on integrated programs. And we felt that this is an opportunity, this is a big chunk of GEF funding, and this is an opportunity to really support transformational change. And staff believe that rather than wait for the project documents to be prepared, the PFDs to be prepared, and then we'll provide comments, it's good to engage from the onset. So we were involved, for example, in the selection of agencies, in reviewing the different child project documents, and even participating in the design workshop. Of course, we understand our role and the thin line between providing advice and getting engaged in the design of the of project in themselves. But we also realize that if we engage upfront, we can provide useful advice that can ensure that we have good program framework documents. And we felt that this effort has actually been very successful in when we look at the PFDs that we've reviewed so far of the integrated programs and see how our engagement has helped in framing a good program framework document. Then also in this aspect of our role, we also organize workshops and webinars. For example, we had a workshop on knowledge management and learning, another workshop on how to achieve transformational change and what are transformational metrics. Also in this role, we also support the GEF in areas that has to do with policy and guidance. So for example, staff is part of the Risk Appetite Working Group, which is working together with the GEFSEC and members of the council to develop a risk appetite statement for the GEF. So generally, these are the three roles that staff play in the GEF partnership. Now, I want to go into some examples of our advice and publications. And generally, our publications are either topic-oriented or process-oriented. Most of our process-oriented advice are focused on supporting the GEF to develop good projects and pick on different topics that are of interest to the GEF. And then the topic-oriented focus on specific topic that can be useful for the GEF partnership as project is designed or as the GEF thinks about new strategy or how to implement its policies. I will highlight this report, which I think I could easily call our flagship document that staff always refer to, which is enabling element for good project. And here in this report, we cut through the different ways we have looked at GEF projects and how projects can be improved, and then came up with 8 different elements that we think are very important for projects that will maximize global environment benefit and give a good return on investment. So I'll just go through the different the 8 enabling elements. One is to apply systems thinking and a good theory of change. I've highlighted that we've developed something on theory of change, but systems thinking basically is thinking through the different interactions, different elements within a problem that we are trying to address. And then based on the interaction, the environmental, the social, and the economic dimension of the problem, we can then identify a good leverage point from which to address the problem, understanding the mandate of the GEF and where the GEF comes in. So we thought that for you to design a very good project, you need to apply system thinking. You need to develop the systems map to understand the system you are trying to address. Most of the time, we design projects and just focus on the issue, more like what Claude said about being reactive. But you want to look at the drivers of change. What are the drivers of change? What is the political factor, the technological factor, the economic factor? and then the environmental change that is happening. How are these interacting? What is the cultural dimension? What is the behavioral change aspect that needs to happen? And then you use that to determine the best point for you, for the GEF to intervene. And then, but for you to be able to do that, you have to think of the stakeholders. Who are the actors? And some of the questions that have been highlighted today has been about how do you engage civil society, the executive agencies, and so on. So engaging, bringing together multi-stakeholders from the inception and design through to project completion is going to be very important for achieving the kind of change, behavioral change that we want to achieve. So we felt if we are looking at projects, we want to see how have you engaged the right set of stakeholders from the onset. Then the third element is to pursue integrated outcomes. So, and this is example of what is happening with the integrated programs, because we are saying, if I take a climate change project, there are other dimensions to climate change. There could be a land degradation dimension to it. There could be a chemical dimension to it. So you want projects to look at all of these outcomes and come up with an integrated solution that provides benefit across the different focal areas of the GEF. But beyond providing benefit across the focal areas is also the possibility that there are going to be some socioeconomic co-benefits that can be achieved through the project. So you also want to look at how can we design this project in a way that it provides co-benefit for local people, because this is one of the things that will give them the incentives to engage and for us to be able to achieve the environmental benefit that we want to achieve. For example, if you are designing a project on biodiversity or maybe a protected area, and you engage the community in a way that that project provides economic benefit for them, that provides them an incentive to be willing to support the project and achieve the goal that we are seeking to achieve. So it's very important to think of these prerequisite co-benefits and incorporate them in the design of projects. And then the fourth one is to foster behavior change. And behavior change is very important because we realize that there's a social and economic dimension to the environmental challenges that we face. And we are not going to solve the problem we face with just technology or technical solution. People have to change behavior. If we take, for example, the challenge of plastics, a lot we have to do with all of us changing our behavior for us to be able to address, turn the tide on plastic pollution. So we need to incorporate behavioral change elements into our project design. And then, of course, I've talked earlier on about incorporating innovation. And more, we are saying that the GEF and project designers need to take calibrated risk to drive rapid and appropriate technology or financing models, different type of innovation. We need to purposefully target innovation that will involve taking some risk, so which means this is also linked to the discussion on risk appetite. What is the appetite of the GEF to be able for taking risk that can give us higher gains? So this needs to be considered in project design. And then scale for system transformation. So beyond designing a project to focus on the specific global environment benefit that it seeks to achieve, we are saying project needs to think through how, after the 5 years of the project, how do we want to scale up? How do we want to replicate? How do you want to scale deep? How do you want to scale out? How do you want to ensure that other stakeholders that you have engaged can continue with the intervention that you have implemented? So developing a theory of change specifically for transformation will be very important in project design. And we start by saying this needs to be incorporated in project design. Why you need to say, is this project intended to be transformational? And then if it is, how do I go about achieving transformation? And the second to the last is to develop a robustness to future change. And in doing this, the point is that you have to think that GEF projects are going to be for 3 to 5 years, but the challenges that we face or the different drivers of change will continue to evolve. And we are saying that you need to think through all these drivers of change, think how they are going to change in the next 20 years, 30 years. Let's take, for example, climate change. If I'm designing a project on adaptation, I need to think through what will the climate look like based on the science for the next 20 years, for the next 30 years. And then ask the question, what kind of intervention do I put in place to make sure that my investment is able to withstand the different scenarios of change in the next 20 years? So thinking through how to deliver a resilient response in the face of an uncertain future is very important for a good project design. And then the last one is to support learning with knowledge management, which the GEF is already working strongly on that with the new knowledge management strategy. But we are saying that there's so much knowledge in GEF projects, outside of GEF projects, that needs to come together to inform the design of GEF projects, and then to even help in the adaptive management in projects. So for example, if you have a strong knowledge management system, when a project is being implemented, you're able to identify what are the things that are going right, what are the things that are going wrong, and then put in an adaptive management to support achieving the kind of scaling and the objective of the project. So these are the 8 different enabling elements that staff has identified, and I felt it's useful for those participating in this webinar to know, to hear about them. And so this report provides this enabling elements, but we have also prepared different reports that support each of these elements. So we have a theory of change primer. On each of these slides, there's a link to each of the reports. So if you want to access them, once you have the slide, you should be able to get all the reports, and they're all available on our website. So for theory of change and systems thinking, we have the theory of change primer. For stakeholder engagement, we have a report on multi-stakeholder dialogue for transformational change. For co-benefit and integrated outcomes, we've developed 2 reports, one on how to incorporate co-benefit into design of project, and the other one to help think through how you look at co-benefit within GEF investment. And then we have another report on behavioral change, why it matters to the GEF, and how it can be incorporated in projects. In terms of innovation, we have a report on innovation and the GEF, another one on leveraging innovation for transformational change, and there's something on risk appetite to help you think through how you take risk within projects. And then for transformational change, we also have a report on achieving transformational change through GEF investment. And feature narrative, we have a guide that can help you think through how to apply feature narratives in projects. And also several reports also on knowledge management and learning. So my second to the last slide highlights other staff reports. They are all available on our website. Reports on policy coherence, natural capital, adaptation, rationale, blue economy. So basically, this report covers different areas of the GEF work on circular economy, South-South cooperation, resilience of GEF projects, on nature-based solutions, and so on. And I will end my talk with our feature advice. As I said, every GEF council, we present new advisories to the GEF, and for this February council will have a report, an information note on blended finance, another one on how to improve the outcome of alternative livelihoods intervention. Someone in the chat asked about how the GEF is evolving in conflict situation. One of our reports for February will be looking at environmental security, and for this we're actually having a workshop next week to bring in expertise from different leading experts working on this topic and amongst the different GEF agencies. And we'll be putting this together to inform the GEF on how to think through projects in situations of fragility and conflict. And then we also have one on citizen science and another one on agrovoltaics, which is a new evolving innovative technology that combines both agriculture and energy and adaptation and basically different issues together to be solved based on providing energy. So this technology is really evolving, and we think we should bring this to the notice of the GEF. And then, of course, we are going to have one also on the indigenous learning and knowledge. So these are our future reports as we also start thinking through our future work for GEF 9. So yeah, so that's end my presentation here. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Sunday, for the really excellent presentation, introducing all of us to who STAP is, the members, the scientists, your role in the partnership, and all these really great publications that are rich sharing of knowledge and advice, research to help the partnership, and the links as well. We'll come back for questions, but now we're right on time, exactly. Thank you so much. I'd like to introduce our next partner and speaker. This is the GEF Independent Evaluation Office, and I see the screen, the video coming on for the director of the GEF IEO, Juha Uitto. So Juha, if you're there, the floor is yours.
Good morning, Peter and everybody. I hope you hear me clearly.
Very well, yes.
Okay, very good. And I should say good afternoon and good evening and everything to people who, wherever they are in the world. So let me proceed. Next slide, please. Then I'm going to talk about evaluation in the GEF, including the evaluation policy and minimum requirements for evaluation. Then a little bit about IEO's, the Independent Evaluation Office's own role here, what we do and what we produce, and then future priorities. So next slide, please. And the next. So we have a fairly complicated architecture for evaluation in the GEF, actually. So it all culminates into information, evaluative information and monitoring information to the GEF Council for policy making and strategy making, but it obviously starts from the projects and the programs, and the project and program evaluations are really the responsibility of the agencies, and you all agencies who are participating in the GEF. The 18 agencies have somewhat different systems for how you have organized your evaluation system, but there are common elements, and I will come up to those a little bit later. So then you have basically you have two main streams. One, it all comes from the agencies, but you have the monitoring route through the GEF Secretariat, which then includes things like the project and program implementation reports and agencies portfolio reports and project documents, as you have already talked about. But then we are the focal point for receiving the project and program evaluations. And I tell you soon what we are doing with them, basically, both using them for as building blocks for our own evaluations, but also doing a certain level of quality control here. We also interact directly with the agency's own evaluation units. Many of the many of the agencies have independent evaluation offices like ours, so we have quite a lot of collaboration with them when it comes to even doing joint evaluations and so on. And then we, like the GEF Secretariat on the monitoring side, we report directly to the GEF Council on evaluation related matters. Next slide, please. Yeah, next slide. So okay, this is a bit of a historical and promotion, but it happens to be our 20th anniversary as an independent evaluation office in the GEF. So after the pilot phase and in the mid-1990s, the GEF established a monitoring and evaluation unit within the GEF Secretariat. But then the council actually felt quite strongly that it was important to have a truly independent evaluation function, a stronger evaluation function that was separated from the management. As it happens, I have to say on a personal note that I was involved at that point of time. I already worked in the M&E unit within the Secretariat. Then in 2003, the council made a decision to transfer that Secretariat M&E unit into an autonomous unit in the GEF, autonomous from the GEF Secretariat. So that's where we count this 20 years from. So 2 years later, it was then just renamed as the evaluation office and focusing on evaluation rather than monitoring. And then it was further strengthened into an independent evaluation office. Next one, please. So our mission is really to of course contribute to environmental benefits like everybody else in the GEF system, and we do it through, we hope, I believe, excellence, independence, and partnership in evaluation, really. And there are some key words here, obviously. One is the fact that we are an independent evaluation office and we report directly to the GEF Council. We, of course, work closely with other entities like the GEF Secretariat and the agencies and STAP, not least, but our agenda is independently set and controlled by the council, who gives us the approval of our work programs and receives the reports from our sites. So it is independent from management in that sense. We do independent evaluations. Now, I've used the word independent quite many times, so I'll be careful of that now. But we do evaluations at different levels. I'll show you later. We also do set minimum standards for evaluation function in the partnership, so that which includes the agencies and the projects and the programs. We do a certain amount of quality control by receiving all of the project and program evaluations, terminal evaluations that the agencies are responsible for. They come to us. And there's 2 parallel systems in a way. In those agencies where you have a strong independent evaluation office, your own evaluation office then does an initial quality control, quality assessment of these reports, and we take them pretty much at face value, except that we do spot checks. But where such an independent evaluation verification process doesn't exist, we verify all of the reports. And then, of course, we want to share evaluative knowledge. Next slide, please. And next. So we have an evaluation policy, and this has been established a long time ago, but it has evolved over the years. This and everything else that I'm mentioning and showing is available at the IEO website, which is gefieo.org. So the evaluation policy defines what evaluation is in the GEF and what are the procedures and what are the standards for evaluation. It is building upon the agency's own systems, but we have certain GEF specific issues that we have to ensure that every evaluation covers. It also defines the institutional framework and responsibilities, which is basically the stuff that I showed the first slide. And it indicates the minimum requirements covering the design of evaluation plans for projects and programs, application of these plans, how do you conduct project and program evaluations and what do they have to cover, and also what are the rules for engaging the operational focal points at the country level in evaluations. Next slide, please. So there's a lot of different kinds of evaluations in the GEF, and each one of them has their own purpose and they have their own scope, frequency, audiences, methodologies, and who conducts them actually. So project and program evaluations are principally the responsibility of the agency in charge of that project or program. Then come evaluations that we do at the IEO. We do country cluster evaluations. We used to do more individual country evaluations, but we'll move to strategic country clusters. We do some impact evaluations, and then evaluations that cover a particular topic or theme in the GEF. We do also process and performance evaluations, which look into more on the efficiency side of things. And then we do whatever, sometimes the council may ask us, or we agree with other partners that should be looking at. And we try to be also nimble and faster and do evaluations not only at the end of the project cycle, in which case, the summative assessment comes very late, but we try to do at different types, for example, focusing on how the programs have been designed and so on. But it all culminates in this comprehensive evaluation of the GEF, which we do ahead of every replenishment every 4 years. It's called OPS because they used to be called overall performance studies, but now they became more, so they are comprehensive evaluations, but the acronym stuck. And so the OPS is a fundamental document for the replenishment process. It informs lessons from the past phases, and it informs what has worked and what has not worked. So the council and the replenishment partners take it very seriously, and we are currently in the middle of the next one, next OPS, but also next slide, please. So just briefly go through these minimum requirements. So all projects need to have concrete and fully budgeted monitoring and evaluation plan by CEO endorsement for full-sized projects and CEO approval for medium-sized projects. and by the project framework document approval for programs. And these M&E plans should include then these elements: smart indicators. I'm sure you know what they are, but it's this specific, measurable, attainable, realistic or relevant, but realistic maybe, and timely indicators. They should contain baseline data on where we start. And then the plans include project and program implementation reports, midterm reviews, and then terminal evaluations. And they have to have a organizational setup and budget for monitoring and evaluation, who does what and who pays, and so on. Next slide is the minimum requirement 2. Apart from designing these M&E plans, so they have to be implemented, and so project and program monitoring and supervision will include execution of the M&E plan using of these smart indicators that I mentioned, for both for process and implementation progress, but also actually really then for what are the results that have been achieved. The baseline is established and compiled so that you can review progress against it, and then you have, of course, then you have to rationalize the M&E plan. Next slide, please. Then, importantly, all projects and all programs will be evaluated at the end of the implementation period, and this is the responsibility of the agencies. These evaluations should be as independent of project and program management as possible, or in some cases we know that it is the program unit that commissions these evaluations through consultants, but then they should be reviewed by the evaluation unit of the GEF agency, actually. There are international evaluation standards and minimum requirements which are mentioned in the policy, and the evaluations have to assess both the outputs and outcomes of these projects and programs, their likelihood of sustainability at the time of completion, and then the M&E systems and so on. So whether the projects and programs complied with the previous minimum standards, and they have to, of course, contain basic project and program data, lessons for broader applicability, and so on. And we, like I said, earlier, we collect these evaluation reports, and we use them also as building blocks for our own thematic and higher level evaluations. So we need to receive all of these reports, and there's a 12-month standard of completion of the project or program, during which period the agency should complete their evaluation, have it quality assured, quality controlled, and then completed and sent to us. Next one, please. So all of these things are available on our website, which is this gefio.org. There's both project level terminal evaluation guidelines and guidelines, new guidelines for program evaluation that we just completed earlier this year, and you can also access all the terminal evaluations on our website. So everything is transparent, everything is there. Next, please. Then it's also, the GEF is helping the countries, obviously, to achieve global environmental benefits and helping them to comply with the requirements of the conventions that they have signed up to. So we have made engagement of the operational focal points at the country level a requirement, actually. So the M&E plans should specify how OFPs will be engaged, and the agencies are responsible for informing the OFPs of the M&E activities, including when there is a midterm review or terminal evaluations are being conducted, and the OFPs should receive drafts for comments and then of course final reports also. And in follow-up, it's also good practice to for the OFPs to be invited to contribute to the management response and being able to track application of the GS of all of this when it comes to the projects and programs. Next one, please. So there will be a management response, and it's required for all evaluations and performance reports presented to the GEF Council by us. The management response is coordinated by the Secretariat with inputs from other GEF stakeholders as relevant. The GEF Council takes into consideration the evaluation findings and the recommendations, and then considers the management response and the action plans in the decisions. So the Council basically approves the management response and the action plan included in it to as the way forward in response to the evaluation findings and recommendations. Then it's back to us then. So the IEO reports on the progress of these actions, these agreed actions towards the implementation of these decisions. So we report back annually to the GEF Council on this matter. Next one, please. And next one. So this is, I think, interesting, but that's me. I think it's very interesting. We have now set up a data and ratings page on our website. If you go there, you'll find historical data and current data on performance ratings for the GEF completed GEF projects. You can search this database by 10 or so variables, starting with the replenishment period, the region, agency, project size, country, focal area, and so forth. You'll find a portfolio overview there by replenishment period, by focal area, by project size, and then ratings for projects, outcomes, sustainability, and the monitoring and evaluation system implementation, design and implementation. You can also then, from this same page, you can find and display the terminal evaluations of all projects and including the terminal evaluation reviews that we conduct. And then we started also doing some country performance notes that will summarize performance by country. So I think this is a pretty cool resource, and you have this full data set is available for download, and it currently includes all rated projects as of June of this year. So it's pretty much updated. So I encourage you to go and explore this page. You'll find, I think, a lot of interesting facts about the countries and projects and focal areas you are concerned with. Next slide, please. So then we also do, just I try to be fairly brief because I'm aware of the time, but the IEO does different types of evaluations. And I basically mentioned that the types in the beginning. We look at impact results of different types of projects. We may take cut as a thematic area, a cross-cutting area. We do an annual performance assessment, which is basically based on the terminal evaluations that have been submitted by agencies to us, but it contains usually an overview of the whole portfolio, but then a deeper dive into a particular area. We do country and country cluster evaluations, and then, like I said, so it's not only summative at the end, but it's also formative and process evaluations that happen while projects and programs are implemented, and it all culminates in this quadrennial comprehensive evaluation, the OPS, which goes to the replenishment process. And it's so basically everything we do during the 4-year or the replenishment cycle culminates into the comprehensive evaluation, which brings together the findings and conclusions and high-level recommendations from about 30 different evaluations that we have been carrying during that period. And we use multiple methods. I mean, evaluators sometimes talk about gold standards, but to me, the only gold standard is using the best methods that can answer the questions that we want to have answered, and we do both qualitative reviews and case studies, but then we try to do also as much quantitative analysis as possible, and we have started particularly use geospatial analysis using GIS and remote sensing and so on, because that lends itself very well into the types of projects and programs that we're evaluating, because you can see time series data on how things have evolved. And next slide, please. So here is just a sample of recent evaluations that we have been conducting. So the Working Towards a Greener Global Recovery was OPS 7. So it was the comprehensive evaluation that informed this current replenishment period. You'll see that we have done very different types of evaluations, looking at things such as a focal area like artisanal and small-scale gold mining, but also then things such as, how does GEF deal with fragile and conflict-affected situations, and more organizational, such as the evaluation of the GEF country support program, which has led to this new country engagement strategy. Next one, please. And this is where we are now. So this is, I'm not going to read through, obviously, all of these, but these are the evaluations that we are currently either recently completed, currently undertaking, or soon will be conducting them. And this will all then result in the OPS 8, the 8th comprehensive evaluation of the GEF that will be going to the council and to the replenishment process for the next round. So you see, we have a fairly comprehensive evaluation work program here, and this is something that the council has approved, and the council has also commented on and added some of these evaluations. So we are obliged to conduct these evaluations, and with the expectation that they inform future policy making. When we conduct them, so we'll be in touch with the different parts. We discuss regularly, of course, with the Secretariat, but also the agencies. When we do country-level case studies, which we do for virtually all of them, we are in touch with OFPs as well as the agencies in the countries, and we visit often the countries and so. And we establish also reference groups for the larger evaluation. So you'll be, if you already haven't, so you'll be hearing from us quite regularly. Next slide, please. Yeah, knowledge management is very important. We want to share what we learn, both in terms of how do you do evaluations, but also what the evaluations themselves say. So we are quite active in this field. We've published a few books based on our work, and obviously we disseminate as widely as possible the evaluation reports that we produce, and everything, like I said, is transparent, and we have been trying to also improve our communications in French and Spanish, not only in English. We do conferences and workshops, and we participate in them. We are going to have our 4th international conference on evaluating environment and development in early March, when we bring together lots of evaluation stakeholders and practitioners and others concerned here in Washington. We often participate in the expanded constituency workshops to bring in both similar information that I'm giving you today, but also then digging deeper into that region and countries involved. We work with the United Nations evaluation group, which brings together all of these evaluation units from UN agencies, all of UN agencies. So there's more than 50 evaluation units in the UN, and we are coordinating the work on environmental dimensions in that context. And then we've gotten into somewhat training. There's this international program for development evaluation training that is held annually, and it's supported by the Global Evaluation Initiative of the World Bank and UNDP. So we again give there a workshop on environmental aspects of sustainable development, and we have recently developed an online training for environmental evaluation, which will be very shortly available, and I hope that it will be of interest most of the participants in this workshop also. Next one is all, and you'll just take note of our website and our X, formerly Twitter handle, so you can keep in touch with us, and don't hesitate to contact me and my colleagues at any time. I hope I didn't take too much over time here, so thanks very much for your attention.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Juha. Actually, you're just also right on time. Really appreciated. Thanks for the informative overview of this highly important work of the Independent Evaluation Office for the partnership, walking us through the roles and responsibilities, the importance, the fundamental importance of independence, the evaluation policy, the different types of evaluations, the minimum requirements, and the wealth of resources. So thank you so much. Now we have about another 20 minutes for questions to both STAP and IEO, that is both Sunday and Juha. I've seen a couple of questions already. Let me just mention those and then we'll keep going. I see one to STAP from Burkina Faso on if I've got it right, on how to benefit from the theory of change and to access the STAP screening criteria. And then I have Juha, there are a couple of questions for you, one from Burundi, which is from the indigenous peoples there. How do indigenous peoples benefit from evaluations? And a request, can you please set up a mechanism to monitor involvement of indigenous peoples in GEF programs? And then a third question to you, Juha, was from Ken. How are civil society organizations involved in the IEO work? So let me turn first to Sunday. Sunday, please.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, how to benefit from our training on theory of change. The training on theory of change is was recorded and should be available on our website soon. So you can access that from our website. We also had another training on GEF design that is also available on the GEF website. You could also include that on our website. So yeah, so you can see the training there, but also on our website there are also our reports. The specific document on theory of change is also available there. In terms of the criteria for evaluating concept notes, so on my slide, you'll find staff screening guidelines. I think that details what we look out for when we are reviewing projects, and that should give the information that you need in terms of good concept notes, what is expected in terms of maybe the rationale, the intervention, how do you show innovation, how do you ensure durability of project, and so on. So yeah, and then so most of this information are available on our website, and if you have a question, you can just shoot us an email. We're happy to respond.
Thanks, Sunday. Thanks very much. Juha, please.
Okay, so from our point of view, well, yeah, I should have mentioned it earlier. I was rattling off different kinds of partners here, but I failed to mention CSOs and indigenous peoples, so I should say two different aspects here is that we often when we set up a reference group for an evaluation, and the purpose of the reference group is that through the evaluation period, so they will be able to help IEO to ensure that we stay on track and we have all the important and pertinent information, and then the reference group members can comment on draft reports and or starting with the approach paper to the evaluation. So CSO network and the IPAG, the Indigenous Peoples Advisory Group, are often included in these reference groups. I say often because it may not be always, because not every evaluation is equally relevant to all stakeholder groups. So we can't have so large reference groups for every evaluation. So that's one thing. And the other thing is then that we do pay close attention to indigenous peoples, local communities, civil society engagement in our evaluations. And at least once in a cycle, for this OPS evaluation, we do specific studies where we look across the board of GEF work on these particular aspects, and including then things like social and environmental safeguards, gender, and so on. I should mention that in February Council, coming February, so we will present a thematic evaluation that we have just completed on community-based approaches in the GEF, which specifically sheds light some of these relevant issues. I'm afraid it's not really the IEO responsibility to set up a monitoring system for systematic involvement of indigenous peoples and other groups, but that's more the role of the GEF Secretariat, I would say. But we, like I said, so we do evaluations and we pay attention to these aspects in our evaluations. I hope that's helpful.
Thanks very much, Juha. I think I've seen a couple of more questions come in the meantime from Cecilia. I think this is a question for staff. If GEF has STAT models on chemicals, if there's no national assessment that could be used before a submission, that was, I think, the question. And for Juha, I see there's a question or a comment. In many cases, the operational focal points are not involved in monitoring and evaluation. The question is, how can there be better engagement? So Sunday, you want to take the first one, and then Juha?
Yeah, so of course, having baseline data is very important. And in the chemicals and waste area, it's expected that countries, at least for many of the conventions, for you to be able to access funding, you should have done the required assessment either by maybe the Minamata Convention or the Stockholm Convention for the specific projects that you want to address. So I think that's a minimal requirement for projects to be able to go ahead. In a situation where you don't have those information and a project is being proposed, we will look at the project. I think it's expected that the project designer put together available information based on the right science and supports, and that's why when we look at proposal, we want to see, for example, your sources, your citations of where you are taking your data from, and then based on that, we can review to say if this is if you are providing the right or the more accurate set of information. But overall, the starting point for country projects is to have done the required assessment by the different chemical conventions.
You have it, please. Yeah, thanks, Sunday. Yeah.
Okay, shall I?
Yeah, please.
So, so the involvement of the OFP is a minimum requirement in the GEF evaluation policy. So it is listed there as the minimum requirement number 4, I believe, and so it is really the responsibility of the agencies to live up to these standards when they devise and implement their M&E plans. So the responsibility lies with them, like with everything when it comes to project implementation and M&E. So at an individual project level, it may not be so easy for us to capture these issues, except post facto afterwards when we look at what happened. So then we will be able to find out. But I think it's also it would be useful of course, for the OFP herself or himself to be in touch with the agencies and ensure that that you are informed as to where do each of these projects stand, and when is there a midterm review, and when is the project to be completed, and a terminal evaluation be conducted. The OFP should necessarily not, or should not be conducting the evaluation, because that would be a conflict of interest. But you have the full right to be informed of what is happening with the evaluation, and also to review the draft report. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Juha. I'll keep the floor open for a last question. If somebody would like to bring one in the chat line here, we have 5 more minutes for this session. In the meantime, let me just come back to what Juha mentioned about one of the questions involving it was about, I think, the request for monitoring involvement of indigenous communities and peoples in GEF's programs. Juha rightly mentioned that would be a question to be answered by the GEF Secretariat. And so I will ask, we will have the teams in the discussions tomorrow to come back on this very important question. I just want to say from the opening remarks of the CEO, Carlos Manuel, he was highlighting, which is a top priority for the GEF in the GEF 8 and GEF 9 is engagement and inclusion. And we just had the GEF Assembly, which is the every 4-year gathering of the GEF partnership at a high level and across the partnership in Vancouver, British Columbia. And throughout that week of meetings, a big priority that was also actually played out in the sessions was to get stronger on inclusion, to think about ways potentially even of up to amending the GEF instrument to strengthen its engagement with civil society, including youth, women, and indigenous peoples. So it circles back to this question. It's very much on our minds. It's important from the values of the GEF, and also to make our projects and programs stronger. And so we do want to come back to that question and really appreciate it. I see a raised hand, so let me try and take that. We'll do one question over the lines. Hayden Romano, would you like to come in? Do you have I don't know if you have the microphone, but please, yes, Hayden.
I have the microphone. Thank you for taking the question.
Sure.
And the question is, I mean, monitoring and evaluation is a bit of a challenge for us. I'm just wondering if the IEO is planning to do any capacity building training on monitoring and evaluation, because it's one area that we find ourselves challenged.
Very good. Thank you very much for the question. Juha, please.
Yes, in fact, we are, and it's something that we haven't been doing very much in the past, but so we do. Well, first of all, when we participate in the extended constituency workshops and so on, so we do some basic, if you can call it training, but informational sessions on this issue. But now we will have very soon a training course online, which will be available for all GF participants, and which will be also which will be quite hands-on, I think, and I hope will be very useful. We've been doing these training courses at this EPDET course for a few years, and we have a lot of good feedback from there. So then we developed it into an integrated online training course. And we are planning to launch a series of regional trainings on evaluation, probably early next year. So we don't have terribly, it's a small office. We don't have a very large capacity to do these trainings either, but we try to move more into that area also, and hopefully it will be helpful. Thanks.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Juha. Thanks, Sunday, from the Independent Evaluation Office and from the Scientific and Technical Advisory Panel. As we start to introduce the GEF partners and the work that they do, maybe we could give a silent or a virtual round of applause to them. And also, I forgot to do so for Jonathan and Claude before. So thanks very much to you both, and to our earlier presenters as well. We really appreciate it. I think we're now right on time for our coffee break. You might see I turned off my background screen just to be a little more coffee break mode. There's a little bit of sunshine, or at least a little bit of light in the sky here in Washington, D.C. I don't know about where everybody else is, but we can turn off the microphones, or at least give ourselves a chance to go grab a coffee, or if it's a later time zone, whatever is a good thing to have during a break right now. Am I right, SJ? We have about 10 minutes for this, and then we'll come back after that.
Yes, you're right. Yep. So
Okay,
10 minutes.
everybody.
Yep.
And we will be, if you'd like to send a chat question in the meantime to any of us, we'll be watching the lines. It's a good way to exchange information and for us to have a chance to, have this conversation in writing as well as we take this break. So we'll see you in a few minutes. Thanks, everybody.
Great. Thank you. And yes, Ted, maybe we can put a music on. Perfect.
That would be nice.
Thank you.
Okay. Hold on.
All right, so continue typing your questions in the chat. We have a team monitoring and answering the questions right here. So yes, we're still here. And thank you very much, everybody who's responding, monitoring chat and responding. Thank you.
And SJ, if anybody wants
Yeah.
to say hello, they can, because we are still sitting here.
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be great. Anybody want to say hi?
Hello, where
Put
are
on
you
your camera.
from?
Yeah.
What time of the day is it where you are? What are you having, breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
I'm Ken Kinney, and I'm joining you from Accra. It's 2:30 now p.m.
What time is it?
And
2:30 p.m.
2:30. Yeah, 2:30 p.m. Yes.
Okay, that's not so bad.
Hope you had your
Yeah.
lunch.
Already.
Okay, great.
Now, so what I want to know is how is the GEF, the UNDP small grants through GEF. How is that being programmed, or how is that being set up to be able to provide slightly bigger resources
Yep. Thank
for
you so much for your
end users?
Thank you so much for your question. Today's day 1. We have a day 2 and day 3. On day 3, we have a civil society and small grants program session. We'll have a Gabriela presenting. Yes. So please come back on day 3, Wednesday. Yep.
I will be there. I will be there. I will be there.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Yep. Anybody has any other questions? I see that chat is still coming. Really good. CSO, yes, CSO. So day 3 again. I've seen several questions about indigenous people, youth, and civil society. Again, day 3 on Wednesday, Gabriela will be presenting this, leading this session. So all the questions can be addressed by Gabriela on day 3, Wednesday.
We have a comment here, SJ, from Marta. She says it's afternoon tea time here in Brussels. Okay.
Nice.
Well, I'm going to go and get my second coffee in a minute. And then we have a message from Jerome. It's 22:30
Oh my God. Yeah.
from in Metro Manila, Philippines.
Oh gosh, midnight. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. Thank you. I'm
late.
sorry. But Krishna, I cannot believe it's only 9:30 a.m. in Washington, D.C.
I know.
I started my morning 3:30 in the morning, and it's only 9:30 in the morning here.
Yeah, it's yeah. I went to sleep at midnight. I woke up at 6. You went to sleep at 8:30. You woke up at
8:30 and 3:30. Yes, yeah.
We are, you know, somebody's always up and working. Okay, we have a message from Tunisia. It's 15:35.
Okay.
Okay. We have another message from Nepal. It's 2020. Somebody from Ecuador is saying hello.
Yep.
Ruth.
Thank you. Organizations.
Benin. Anybody else wants to say hello and tell us what time is it? What
put your
meal of
camera
the
on.
day are you having, or drink of the day are you having?
Christina, do you want to pause this session?
No, it's
the
fun.
recording.
Oh no, it's not too much fun.
I'm talking about the recording.
Recording? We can always edit, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure the communication, they will edit this part when they upload. They only
because
put
I don't
that
want
session.
30 minutes. Okay, fine.
It's Benin.
I think it's okay. Yeah.
It's 15:36 in Benin.
Uzbekistan, 7:30 p.m. Oh my. Yes, presentation will be shared. Yes,
Okay.
on the website. I'm putting the website link again.
We also have a message from Marie-Laure from Gabon in Africa, and she's saying it's 3:36 in Gabon. From CSO.
30 in Togo, Peru, 9:30 a.m.
India is 20:05. Mali is 14:35.
Also 3:37 a.m. from Tonga in the Pacific.
Oh my gosh.
Tonga. Oh my. Okay. 3:30 a.m. right? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Tonga. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
And
What
you're
are you?
up. And you're up and in the introduction seminar.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Siotame, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yep.
Siotame.
Correct.
From Tonga. Oh my God. Hey. Are you the OAP team, in the OAP team, or CSO?
I'm from the
executing
CSO.
it? Okay, CSO. Okay, from Tonga. Hey. Thank you so much for joining.
Welcome. Thank you for all the information.
Of course, of course. I wonder if we have anybody else from the Pacific. 3:30 a.m. I wonder if anybody can beat that.
Yeah, I don't see anybody else so far.
Wow. Vietnam, 9:30 p.m. Argentina, South Africa,
Africa,
Tanzania, Manila,
Mali,
Peru. Oh my God, wow. Bangladesh.
Uruguay, 11:38, Mozambique,
Mhm.
4:37 p.m., Peru, 9:37 a.m.
Myanmar, 9 p.m. Hater, huh? Bangladesh.
Kyrgyz Republic also here, Bishkek.
Hi, AJ. Hi. It is
Hi, Hater. How
just,
are you?
yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, 8:39 p.m. in Dhaka.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Hope you had your dinner.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, already I
Alright.
have had my dinner. Yeah.
All right.
And I have had my coffee also.
Christina, we receive your
Yeah.
email.
Who is this?
NATO.
Yep, from the Philippines.
Oh, yeah, Renato.
Thanking.
Renato was already in the meeting last night, right, Renato?
That's right.
Because
It was a mistake.
yeah.
No, it's fine. You know, actually, we've done, Christina and our team, we did a couple testing the day before, but every time we open this, there are guests showing up. So this is that was amazing.
Well, I think people want to just test.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
system,
Yeah, that was great.
Make sure they can get in.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And we have another person from Philippines, 10:39 p.m. Yes, and Jerome made a comment. We just traveled around the world. That's true.
Get a coffee.
And it was not even, the airline ticket wasn't that expensive, right, Jerome?
Free ticket.
Yeah, right you are. But I do hope the coffee reaches the Philippines. Whoever mentioned coffee earlier.
Mhm. Okay, I see Peter's back.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that was very enjoyable. Thanks everybody for coming to say hello, for telling us the time zone. Hopefully enjoying a little bit of a coffee or a drink somewhere. At some point in this session, we're going to turn back all the video screens on. I think we'll have a group photo later, so we'll take a picture around the world too, which will be really nice. Thanks, SJ and Christina, for hosting us in the coffee break. So now let us get back. We are going to resume our agenda. We're still on, let's say, if you have the agenda, meeting GEF partners continued. And now we have two more of our partners in this next session. The first is the GEF trustee. And then the second will be the High Ambition Coalition. So I think for the trustee, I see you there, Rahul, who's on the video. Thanks for joining us, Rahul. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much. And first of all, I'd like to thank the GEF Secretariat for inviting trustee to present our roles and what we do at this introductory seminar. I'm here present today with my colleague Chalida, and we will be presenting the trustee team and elaborating on GEF trustee roles and the financial operations we do. Today, our GEF trustee team lead, Praveen Desabatla, is not able to join us because he has a prior commitment, but I think my colleague Chalida and I will be able to lead you through this presentation. So let me hand over to my colleague Chalida.
Thank you, Rahul. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Next slide, please. Today in this presentation, we will cover this following topic to present who we are in the GEF partnership, what we do and how we do it. And also we will show our trustee team composition and the contact information at the end. Next slide, please. Here, once again, we are showing the GEF governance structure. You will see in this slide that the trustee is work closely with the GEF Secretariat and the agency in implementing the decision of the GEF Council. The GEF trustee sits in the Trust Fund and Partner Relation Department in the Development Finance Vice Presidency, or we call it DFI at the World Bank. We are an independent group from the GEF Secretariat, even though we are both located within the World Bank. We act as the trustee for the GEF and its family of fund, which is LDCF, SCCF, NPIF, CBIT, and the newcomer Global Biodiversity Fund, or we will call GBFF in the future. To fulfill the role of the trusteeship, we also receive the support from the World Bank accounting, legal, and the Treasury Department. Next slide, please. The trustee role and the fiduciary responsibility are embodied in the Annex B of the GEF instrument, which is the governance framework for the GEF. The GEF instrument is also publicly available on the GEF website. The trustee role can be put into main 4 buckets as showing here. First is the resource mobilization that the trustee will co-share the GEF replenishment negotiation for the mobilizing resources through the established replenishment process. Second, we also manage the investment of the GEF liquid assets. Third bucket is the financial management, and the fourth one is the reporting and compliance. We will go into a little bit of the detail of each bucket. Then let me give the floor back to Rahul to go into the detail.
Okay, next slide, please. Thanks, Elida. Thanks for covering those portions very well. So as part of trustee roles and responsibilities under the financial management cluster, it's important to highlight that the financial management role, which is performed by the trustee, is like 5-fold. So as you can see in this slide, the first one is the contributions management, which is the most critical role. So as part of the contribution management function, we work with the donors, the contributors to the GEF partnership to finalize their pledges, which they make during the replenishment process. And then we receive their contribution payments as per the agreed payment schedule with those contributors. Funds, which are then contributed by the contributors, are then invested in liquid markets in accordance with the World Bank's investment management policies and procedures. As part of the financial projections work area, we work on the financial projections for the GEF. We determine the cash flow projections in liaison with the agencies, the partner agencies, to facilitate, how to facilitate the financial projections, how much is needed in the future, what are their funding needs. We also monitor the financial commitments to agencies on behalf of the GEF Trust Fund, which is done after the GEF Council approves those projects. We also act on reports received from agencies, which includes their project approvals, the cancellations and closures reports. Finally, based on cash transfer requests we receive from the GEF agencies, we transfer the funds to them under the fund transfer cluster. Next slide, please. So as I highlighted or mentioned in the previous slide, that contribution management is a major function performed by the GEF trustee. Under that particular role, resource mobilization is a major area. So World Bank, as trustee of the GEF, mobilizes resources for the GEF partnership through periodic replenishment process, which is every 4 years. We finance resources for the next GEF programming cycle. World Bank, as trustee of the GEF, presides over the replenishment negotiations along with the CEO and the chairperson of the GEF, in this case, Mr. Carlos Manuel. So at the pilot, in the pilot phase, which was launched in 1991, GEF raised over $1 billion US. In the current replenishment, which just ended last year, the current replenishment ongoing is GEF 8 cycle. It became effective in December of 2022, and the trustee and the GEF Secretariat together mobilized over $5.3 billion, which was pledged from over 29 donors. And the cumulative resource from like 1991 from GEF 1 over GEF 8 to date has been $25 billion. And the resource mobilization for all funds under the GEF family except the GEF, the main GEF trust fund, are performed on a rolling basis based on voluntary contributions by donors throughout the year. So next slide, please. So as Chalida alluded to, we perform the investment management function for GEF trust fund resources. So once the donors provide these resources to the GEF, the GEF trust fund resources are managed in a single commingled investment portfolio, which is known as the pool. The primary investment objective when we manage these resources is capital preservation and also to optimize investment returns and maintaining adequate liquidity for transferring funds to the GEF agencies for their projects. GEF resources are invested across all asset classes, which are predominantly fixed income with different tenures as per the GEF liquidity needs for downstream activities. A major area or a major focus area for GEF investments is the sustainable and responsible investing. So in the context of GEF portfolio, it is important to highlight what does this mean exactly. So what is SRI? It is the inclusion of environmental, social, and governance factors in investment decision-making process. So given GEF's unique positioning and mandate in the environmental and the social space, it is natural that ESG factors have to be incorporated in the decisions, which are investment decisions, which are made for the in portfolio. As of this date, a special day in the investment. And in 2022, we also launched the impact report, which is a major milestone for the GEF portfolio. So with this, I'll stop here and I'll pass it back to Chalida.
Chalida, can you unmute?
We cannot hear you, Chalida. You're,
I'm sorry. Let me repeat myself again. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you for presenting the trustee role and responsibility on the inflow part. Now I'm going to present the trustee role and responsibility on the outflow part once we receive the money and we put the money in trust. Then since the GEF projects are implemented by the agencies, how we collaborate with the agency is through the financial procedure agreement. The financial procedure agreement, or FPA, is govern our collaboration with agencies, which is developed based on the standard provision applicable to the GEF Trust Fund. The World Bank as the trustee provision of the FPA apply across GEF and is a family of funds. The FPA is legally binding both trustee and agencies. That trustee must provide a letter of commitment after the GEF Council approval, after the GEF Council instruction, and timely send it to the agencies. And later, upon the agency request, the trustee must transfer the fund for their use. On the use of fund, trustee rely on the agency's own policy and procedure in management of GEF and its family of fund resources. The agencies are expected to provide the same level of standard of care as applicable to their own fund. They are also responsible for the utilization of these funds for the purpose approved by the GEF Council. Then the trustee rely on the agency's reporting to feed the collective information back to the GEF Council. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry. I have covered this slide. Yeah, thank you. Because I just spoke about the FPA. Sorry about the technical part. No, previous slide, please. Yes, I'm just going to cover a little bit more on the FPA, which is talking about the reporting requirement under the FPA, where the main reporting that we receive from the agencies would help to feed back the information for us to collectively report it back to the GEF Council, which is include the quarterly report on the project approval, cancellation, and the closure. And that will be receiving in quarterly period. On the investment income, where the agencies has receive the fund from the GEF resources, and they receive some investment income, they will report back to the end of each agency's end of the semester, and then return to the fund to the trustee as requested. And then every year we expect to receive the annual audited financial statement from the agencies 6 months after the end of the agency fiscal year. That will show the agency responsibility on the fiduciary obligation receiving the GEF funds. Next slide, please. So this slide, we showing the recap of the trustee role and responsibility, like trustee responsible and accountable to the GEF Council to ensure a compliance with the instrument and approved policy. We prepare the semi-annual report for Council on the financial situation of the GEF Trust Fund. We also provide input to the GEF business plan and budget for submission to the Council. In addition to that, the trustee collaborated with the GEFSEC, as we mentioned earlier. We also provide a monthly report for the Secretariat on the fund availability and the status of the contribution paid in that we receive. With the agencies, we have touched on the collaboration that we have with the agency previously. So we also need to ensure that both of us is comply with the FPA. We also work with the external auditor to provide all the financial statement, and we disseminate the result of the audit report to the donors. And it is also important to note that the trustee must comply with the World Bank policy and procedure, including the World Bank guidance on the fifth and the trust fund management, on budgeting and investment guideline. Thank you. Next slide, please. This is our team and our contact information. So if you have any question, please feel free to reach out to us. Next slide, please. And we are here at the end of the presentation from the trustee. We would like to open the floor for the Q&A.
Thank you very much, Rahul and Shalita. We really appreciate it. The overview of the trustees' essential role in the partnership, where the trustee fits into the governance, the fiduciary and other roles and responsibilities, the investment management strategy, the financial procedures agreements, reporting and compliance. Really, thank you for introducing that. We'll have a chance for questions after we go to the next presentation. And thanks also for just staying right on time. We have now our next very valued partner. This is the High Ambition Coalition for Nature and People, their secretariat team. It is led by their director, Rita. Rita, are you there?
Yes, hi, Peter. I'm trying to start my video, but for some reason I cannot.
Okay, we hear you well, though. The floor is yours. So either way,
Yes.
maybe
Let me
Christina.
check.
Working on it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks, Peter. Hello, everyone. Good time of the day. I see that, and we heard colleagues joining at 3 a.m. in the morning, quite impressive. So thank you. Thank you so much. And thanks again for the GEF Secretariat for providing us this space to share a bit about the work of the High Ambition Coalition for Nature and People. So we're very excited to share a bit of our work and collaboration with the GEF family. So next slide, please. So the High Ambition Coalition for Nature and People, it's an interregional group of 117 countries that started working together in the run-up to the Convention on Biological Diversity, to the CBD COP15, in order to make sure that the target on the protection of at least 30% of the planet's land and ocean would be adopted within the GBF. So it was mainly a coalition that came together to kind of really shed some light on the importance of protecting at least 30% of the planet's land and ocean by 2030. We started working back in 2019, but our work had been kind of evolving. As I mentioned, the first phase and before the adoption of the global biodiversity framework, we were mainly focusing on raising awareness, on making a lot of diplomatic outreach and really coordinating amongst the different countries. But since the adoption, we have shifted a bit our work, and now we're supporting countries in the implementation of the 30 by 30, how we call it. Next slide, please. We have our 117 countries that are, we call them as our General Assembly of the HAC. We have an International Steering Committee, the ISC, which is a political and technical committee in which they are the ones giving us the political guidance of our work. And those are 16 countries of the 117 countries. And we have the co-chairs. The Secretariat's role of the HAC is mainly to support all the decisions that have been taken by the International Steering Committee, and to really be that body that is implementing and supporting countries and that implementation throughout the next 6 years and 2 months, I would say. The team of the Secretariat is composed by 7 staff, and we are physically hosted at the GEF, but it's we are co-hosted by the GEF and the World Resources Institute. Next slide, please. As I just mentioned, the GEF, I'm actually seated at this moment at the GEF offices, but we also had the support from the World Resources Institute with all elements related to the administrative support and the recruitment. We work very closely with our GEF colleagues also to see in which ways we can collaborate and really find some synergies and work together. And I have to say, I mean, the work of the HAC for Nature and People Secretariat just started this year, so we are also quite new to the GEF family, and it's been great to really be listening to all colleagues and the partnerships that have been collaborated within the GEF, because this gives us also a bit of a brighter and a more comprehensive way of seeing how we can work together and really impulse our efforts in a collaborative manner. So thanks also for all the colleagues that have presented before. It's been super helpful for the last few hours. Next slide, please. The coalition really works on 4 main pillars, and you will hear from each of those from the HAC team. So I will be handing over the floor to each one of the teams of the HAC Secretariat in order for you to be able to understand a bit more about the work that we do. But the 4 main pillars are, the first one is political mobilization. And as I mentioned before, this is really a key component within the coalition, because what we are aiming is to really maintain that political momentum and that political engagement, both at the highest level, at the highest political level, so at heads of state and heads of government, also ministerial level, but also to work with the different teams, so technical teams. So this political mobilization is one of our, has been always one of the main pillars and have continued in this second phase. Then we have the capacity building pillar. This is, you will hear a bit more from Juliana on this. This is mainly focusing on how we provide more support for countries. Of course, all the work that we do is solely focused on the 30 by 30. So it's all related to how to support countries in the implementation of Target 3. And then we have the matchmaking tools that you will be hearing a bit more about this from Domoina, who will be sharing about the financial and the technical matchmaking tool. So I'll hand it over sorry, first, next slide, and I'll hand it over to Jason, who will be sharing a bit more about the political mobilization. Jason, please.
Thank you very much, Rita. Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me well. Perfect. So my name is Jason Dosier. I'm the Senior Program Officer in charge of political mobilization. So when we are talking about political mobilization, what we mean is that we want to keep a strong engagement with our 117 members of the HAC, as well as to keep the engagement and to make sure that every single country is on board with implementing the 30 by 30 target. So we use several tools. The first one is the high-level events. The HAC Secretariat is very used to organizing big international events to make sure to raise political momentum around Target 3 adoption before the KNGBF, and now on to making sure that there is still a high priority on implementing this Target 3. As Rita mentioned, the second tool is the International Steering Committee at the ministerial level. So every year we meet with the 16 minister that represent the HAC in order to validate our yearly work plan. So every year the HAC works on concrete deliverables and KPIs around the 30 by 30 and make sure that the ministers are involved and validates this way forward. The third tool that we use is we, of course, want to be sure that we are on the right track in terms of implementing Target 3. So we are aiming at organizing a biannual stock take before the CBD COP in order to report back to our members, to our partners and supporters, and know where are we in terms of implementing Target 3, and if we do need to raise the ambition in order for Target 3 to be achieved by 2030. And of course, the Secretariat remains highly involved during international events and organize ministerial bilaterals, and to keep all the countries engaged at ministerial level, of course, but also at a level, because in order to prepare all those very high-level events and high-level meetings, we are engaging quite on a, to be honest, on a monthly basis, and sometimes with all the technical teams within the countries. Next slide, please, to give you a short year of the operationalization of the HAC Secretariat. So we were very involved mainly around international high-level events. Of course, at COP15, where we had a second international community and we bring to life the Secretariat and other very and of course, the team will be highly involved around COP28 in Dubai, coming very soon with a ministerial meeting and some very high-level events with the COP28 presidency, as well as side events where the HAC Secretariat will be supporting HAC members in those. And to conclude the presentation on political mobilization, please, next slide, just to give you a quick snapshot of what lies beyond. So the idea here is really to keep, of course, as I said, the high-level engagement, but as well as the technical engagement. And we will see that the HAC in less than 6 months has been able to really develop some key tools in terms of supporting our HAC members in the implementation of Target 3. And we want to be sure that all our HAC members know how to use the tools. So we will be aiming at having regional workshops in the margins of international events. We are already highlighted several, the pre-UNOC in Costa Rica, where hopefully we'll be able to organize a regional workshop with Latin American countries, as well as the Nature Positive Summit in October, next October, to organize a regional workshop with Pacific Island countries. Of course, the idea of the Hack Secretariat is to be flexible, and we are also listening to our members in order to see where does the hack could potentially have some more impact, whether in organizing high-level events or regional workshops. But to give you more information on the tools that we are developing, I would like to give the floor maybe to Juliana from our team, who will be presenting the 30 by 30 Solutions Toolkit, focusing on capacity building. Next slide, please. And Juliana, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jason. Hello, everyone. Very nice to meet you. Very happy to be here. As Jason and Rita mentioned, my name is Juliana Echeverri, and I work with the technical assistance and capacity building for the High Ambition Coalition for Nature and People, and focusing on the knowledge platform and the capacity building. We have developed a toolkit. This is everything related to Target 3 of the Global Biodiversity Framework. So what we did is, and we're still working on this website, but it's already live, so you can all access it. But the idea of this toolkit is to put together different resources, like documents, guidelines, assessment tools, reports, on the different elements of the of Target 3. So we do have the target, we do have the different elements of the target, and you will find resources for each of those. And this is in partnership with the Nature Conservancy and IUCN and WCPA, and also in collaboration with WWF, IFB, and Campaign for Nature. This is an open tool to all countries, stakeholders. Anybody can access the platform, and the idea is to have also experiences and practices for countries all related to protected and conserved areas, and the progress towards achieving the 30% until 2030. And the idea also is to have this website updated until 2030. So, and also sharing different resources from different organizations and different stakeholders. So this is the toolkit. We launched the toolkit at the GEF Assembly in August. So it's already sub-launch, and so it's already available for you to see it. So I will share the link in the chat. And we do have some other tools. So I will hand it over to Moina. I see some cameras, but mine is not. Oh, mine is working. Nice to meet you all. So I will hand it over to Moina. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Juliana. I am, sorry. My name is Moina Rakutbe, and I am the Senior Program Officer for Technical Assistance and Capacity Building for the HAC. And sorry for my voice. So what is the matchmaking? This is a service that we provide for HAC members, and the idea is to bring in together or connecting HAC members with assistance providers. They can be state actors, intergovernmental groups, or non-state actors that are helping countries implementing the 30 by 30 target. So how does it work? We have developed an online platform, and can you please go to the next slide? Where it's an exclusive login area where country can they can log in and have access to the different offers of assistance by assistance providers. So in comparison to what Juliana just presented, this matchmaking platform is only for HAC members. And we invite you to join the HAC if you're not a member yet, to have access to this service. And the idea of the platform is really facilitating the coordination between the countries that are members of a HAC and assistance providers that are ready to help countries implementing the 30 by 30 ambitions. This platform has the ambition to increase the visibility of the needs of the country, but also to make it easier for countries to see the availability of offers of assistance. It can be financial assistance or technical assistance to help them implementing their target 3. And the way it works is request driven. So it's based on the request provided by the countries. Next slide, please. The matchmaking process is based on this platform. So you have to log into the platform to access the service. So the platform will do a first automatized matchmaking, and then the Secretariat of the HAC will do the human-led review, trying the best to find the suitable offer for each request that we receive. We'll go back to the assistance providers if some negotiations are needed, or if we need to do some adjustment of the country's offers. And that's the role of the Secretariat, to support countries to really have access to these offers. We'll organize a deal meeting on a step 4 where we connect the country and the assistance providers. And that's what we call the match. And from then on, the country and assistance providers, they can continue the discussions, implement the project, but the Secretariat will do the match, the follow-up. And how does it work? If you can move to the next slide, please. The first follow-up that we do is after 4 weeks of the deal meeting, we do a follow-up email with the country and the assistance providers. We'll also send every 6 weeks an email to all our partners and assistance providers, highlighting the requests that we've received, and especially if some requests have remained unanswered. And we'll do some analysis also to the different offers and requests that we receive. So for instance, in those graphs that you see, let's say we have one theme of the target 3 that we received a lot of requests on, but we see that the offers are very limited on the theme that has been requested by the country. So we'll go back to the assistance providers and HAC partners to proactively engage with them, ensuring that we really respond to the needs of the country. And we also do annual survey of the matchmaking information and data that we have. That's a very brief introduction to the matchmaking. We hope to have several capacity events next year, and regional workshops to present more in detail the work that we are doing and how to use those tools. So thank you so much, and back to you, Rita.
Thank you very much, Demoina. And maybe if we can go to the next slide. Of course, and as was mentioned by the rest of the team, the idea really is to listen to the members and to listen to the countries on their different needs, and to see how we can take advantage of the different political moments that were mentioned by Jason to really try to increase the visibility on the different needs that we start seeing from the countries related specifically to Target 3. I think it's also important to mention that, of course, this is, if many colleagues on the call are CBD focal points, or they follow the CBD convention, you would know that, of course, the Global Biodiversity Framework has 23 targets, and we're only focusing on 1. But really, this has been, since the creation of the coalition, this has been the focus. And the idea is to really try to see how we can push for the implementation of the entire GBF, but from our perspective, hoping to see how we can support countries specifically on Target 3. And talking maybe a bit more about the Global Biodiversity Framework, we collaborate with many other initiatives on from the CBD Convention, in which we try to really make sure that we advance in the work together, such as the NBCEP Accelerator, and also from other conventions as the UNFCCC, and we collaborate with the NDC Partnership and other collaborations in order to see how we can support each other and support countries in the implementation of the targets. From our perspective, we're happy to see how we can also tap in and collaborate with our GEF colleagues in their different engagement, be it regional or at a national level, to see how we can provide those tools and put those tools to the countries, and to make sure that those tools are used and that countries have the sufficient support in order to implement this goal. Maybe a last comment I would like to mention is that we also collaborate very closely with indigenous peoples and local communities, and so we have also worked very closely and collaborate very closely with the International Indigenous Forum for Biodiversity, the IIFB. And so within the hack, in the first phase, we managed to have a task force that has been continued throughout the last 2 years. And now in this implementation phase, we're seeing really how we can make sure that we continue that collaboration, and that this implementation phase is really a whole of government and society approach in the sense that we can provide that collaboration. So really just to thank you for giving us and providing us the time, and happy to take any questions that come on board. Back to you, Peter. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Rita and colleagues. We really appreciate the excellent overview of the HAC's work, telling us about the focus on the 30 by 30 target, the governance and the 4 pillars, and the partnership with the GEF and the WRI, which we too very much appreciate. There's tremendous complementarity in our work. Being together physically in the GEF offices reinforces that, and we're very excited about this common agenda going forward. So thanks very much for that. So we do now have some time for questions, both to the trustee, Rahul and Chalida, and to HAC, Rita and colleagues. I saw 2 questions in the chat box. They might have been partially answered. One of them to the trustee, which was a question about to what extent there are green financing criteria in investing the GEF resources. I know you did touch on that. I'll give you a chance, though, if you'd like to say anything in follow-up. And Rita, I saw one question maybe you didn't pick up in the chat box yet, is if the HAC tool online platform is for state and non-state actors. That was one of the questions, and there are a couple of others. So please, Rahul, would you like to start up, and then Rita?
Yeah. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, and thanks to Silke for that question. So to answer the question, Silke, I'll just briefly give you a flavor of the investment process which is used for the sustainable bond strategy. Basically, as you know, the investment universe which we have focused right now is on SSA, which is supranational sovereign and agency issuers with ratings of AAA to AA minus. So as and when we go and buy any of these securities from these issuers, we focus a lot on the verification process. We focus whether each security meets the sustainability and impact requirements, the expectations and preferences we have for the strategy's objectives, and the verification process goes to the level of each issuer. And then we analyze their business model, if they have any issues with the sustainability framework, the green, sustainable, and social bond framework, which is an accepted framework. We go into each one of these issuers' frameworks, and then we verify whether this security meets the criteria which we have for this strategy. So to the extent that verification process goes into each of these GSS framework, we do follow the green financing framework. So I think that will answer your question, but if you have any follow-up questions, happy to take them as well.
Thanks very much, Rahul. Rita, please.
Thank you very much, Peter. Yes, sorry, I missed that question. So we were mentioning 3 main tools. One is related to the 30 by 30 solutions toolkit. This is open for everyone. And actually, there's also a process of course, if be it countries that want to share their experiences on 30 by 30, or non-state actors, or indigenous peoples and local communities, anyone who wishes to share their experiences, there's a procedure where they can send those information, and we can try to kind of curate the information and submit it to that platform. So that's open for everyone. With regards to the matchmaking tools, both the technical and the financial matchmaking tools, we have the HAC focal points that are the ones that are able to submit their requests. So what we always encourage is for non-state actors and for indigenous people and local communities to really try to work in a collaborative manner with the HAC focal points in order to be able to submit those requests to the platforms that were represented by Domoina. I hope this is clear, and happy to address any additional question.
Very good. No, thank you very much. Thanks for the questions, and thanks for those answers. We we have a few minutes left here. We're doing very well on time, thanks to excellent pacing of the presentations and the questions. But let me open it up. If anybody would like to either enter another chat message or just come in, we have microphones. Hopefully, Christina, they're available. So let me just open the floor for a minute or two to see if anybody else would like to ask another question, either to the trustee team or the hack team.
Yes, Peter, everybody can ask question or put their, their video on right now, yes.
Okay, the floor is open. I see, well, Rita, I see you raised your hand. Is that you?
Yes, it's just because I saw that there was one of the questions related to the members of the High Ambition Coalition. I replied on the chat, but maybe just to clarify and develop a bit more on that. We usually, of course, there's 196 parties that are part of the CBD convention, and the HAC members are 117. So it's still an open coalition. Our idea is really try to see how we can make bigger that community and have more partners. So if any country wishes to have any more information on how to become a member of the High Ambition Coalition, we're happy to support. And of course, we usually do a lot of outreach on a regional level. So happy to also do that part. But just to mention that it is still an open coalition. It's not closed, and we're very much looking forward to engage with other countries that are non-HAC countries yet.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Rita. I see Rajender from India has put his name into the chat box. Would you like to come in, Rajender?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for giving me the space and floor. I have a very small question, rather suggestion. Rita used in between a term called non-state actors. So in the political sense of it, non-state actors is used for terror organizations, for organizations which influence, state and maybe sometimes deep state. So maybe if we can specify what do we mean by non-state actors? Do we mean by civil society organization, or we mean state enterprises, or we mean what do we mean exactly with the non-state actors? Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the question. Rita, would you like to come in? Yeah.
Yes, of course. I mean, in the case of how I was mentioning before, the 30 by 30 solutions toolkit is open for everyone. So it's also open for the private sector, for really everyone. We do have within the 30 by 30 solutions toolkit is also a collaboration with, as was mentioned by Juliana, with IUCN, WCPA, and with TNT. So usually when we receive the different documents, there is a process within which we have like an editorial team that reviews those documents in order to be submitted. And as I mentioned before, with regards to the matchmaking tools, we usually engage with the HAC focal points from the HAC Secretariat. This is like our main connection with the tools. And so usually what we try to do is encourage the HAC focal points, which in many cases are CBD focal points. In some cases, they are also, they have some focal points from the Ministries of Foreign Affairs, is really to engage with the different countries and see how we can support them, because it depends on each country what national processes they go into. Some countries, they have, for example, some small divisions that are leading on specifically 30 by 30, and they have them a bit more wider. We have, for example, the case of France, in which they have created like a task force of both, from government, multi-sectorial and multi-ministerial collaboration, but also beyond with the indigenous peoples and NGOs and other actors. So it depends really on each case. We usually, as I mentioned, engage with the HAC national focal points. That's how the entry point of the HAC Secretariat works. And I will put on the chat the emails of everyone, so you can also make sure to let us know if you have any additional question, and happy to collaborate.
Very good. Thank you very much, Rita. Thanks, Rajender, for the question. Maybe just to touch on the Secretariat also will come back to this question, including your question of non-state actors, civil society. You see on day 3, and Gabriela, a colleague of ours from the GEF Secretariat, has mentioned in the chat that we will be having some dedicated sessions on civil society engagement, looking at it from calling it that way, with also Indigenous peoples, the GEF Gender Partnership, the partnership with youth, and other stakeholders. Going back to Agenda 21 a long, long time ago, the major groups in society were all in this together, and it's very much on GEF's mind, as I mentioned before, to have an inclusive, strong, and engaged partnership working together. So we define it very broadly, wanting to bring in everyone. And we'll talk much more about that as we keep going on. Okay, I see that there's some there's contact information on the chat page. There's an answer to an earlier question about the Nagoya Protocol Implementation Fund. Thanks for I'm sorry we got to that belatedly, but I'm glad we got to it. And I think we're at the end of this session now, so it leaves me just to say a big thank you to our colleagues from the trustee and from the HAC. We really appreciate your presentations and for your joining us. We're all learning together, and it's just wonderful to be here and to have you. And thanks everyone for your great questions. And let's give them another silent round of applause. I have my microphone on, so I guess I can clap. You can hear that. Thank you, everybody. Okay, let's take a deep breath because we're about to go into the last session of the day, and it's actually 1 minute until that session starts. And so I'm going to give a countdown to the team. I hope you're there because we're now turning to the final session of day one, which is on communications and outreach. And let me just see here. I think we have leading this session from the GEF Secretariat. I see the video is just turned on. Alexandra, are you ready? The floor is yours.
Hi, Peter. Thank you so much. And first of all, thank you everybody for staying for this last session of our seminar today. And it's a long morning for some of you, long afternoon or even evening. I understand that most of you may not be communications specialists, but we all are GEF ambassadors with important perspectives to share. And communications help us to do that. So what I do now is briefly present the GEF approach to communications with the public. We want to work together with all of you in partnership to tell impactful stories about the work we support. And to do that, we really depend on you. I will present briefly our channels and tools for communications and how we use them to support greater visibility and increase awareness about the work that we do together. So next slide, please. Okay, so this is the GEF's website, right? That's where you can find all the information that you have and you want about the GEF. And the tools and channels that I'll be presenting here are mostly related to the newsroom page, right at the top, at the right side, top of the site, and the events page. So that's mostly what we'll be talking about. Next slide, please. So this is what we call storytelling, right? So we produce a lot of news and editorial content. We understand that we have no shortage of stories about the people and projects that we support. We want to hear from you, right? To be able to share these stories with this community, this partnership to work together, right? So we want to hear from you. We want to hear about the projects that we've been doing, and so we can write about them, publish about them. Here we have two examples. One on the left side is a special series that we are putting together about youth ambassadors that the GEF is sponsoring to go to the COP28, right, in Dubai. And the other one is an example of a feature story. This one is about a CSO organization in Sierra Leone, which was one of the winners of the Inclusive GEF Assembly Challenge program that was launched last year, that the winners were announced during the assembly. Next slide, please. So media relations. Here you have a picture of GEF CEO, Carlos Manuel Rodrigues, and the two ministers from Canada during the GEF Assembly last August. And a few examples of stories that were published as a result of that, that meeting, that assembly, right? So the idea, again, is to engage with the media, to share about our events, but also about our products and the stories. So the same content that we can work together on for stories to be published on the website, depending on the angle, we can also discuss how to support you to present these stories to the global media and also to the national level media. We really want to work together on that. And next slide. Thank you. So the communications team is also responsible for organizing our presence on events and COPs, right? So we usually have pavilions. Here you see some pictures of our pavilion during COP15 last year. And what we do is we offer places to meet, work, and discuss our shared work, right? So right now we have something similar for the next COP, and we hope you can, I mean, some of you who may be going to COP can stop by to share and to know more about what we're doing. This next slide, please. So publications, right? We produce a series of publications.
Yeah, you guys, everybody looks great from here. That's I can say that. So it's so nice to see you.
Yep.
I would like tomorrow, SJ is going to be hosting and moderating tomorrow. I'll come back on day 3 at some point. Let me just thank you all. It's been great to start off. And I was about to say that I hope tomorrow and I'll make sure the next day that we have a chance to be more in a video mode here, because it looks like the systems will hold, will be okay. Because sometimes in the original days of remote connections, you know, the bandwidth was not enough, but this all looks good. And I think we can do more of it in the next days. Are the photos done, everybody, or Ted?
Yeah, as much as possible. It's still
right.
jumping around here.
I think we should do this every day.
Yeah. Well, okay. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks for the questions and the discussions. Have a great evening and the rest of the day.
Thank
Farewell.
you so
See you
much.
tomorrow.
See you
Bye-bye.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very
See you
much.
tomorrow.
Bye, ciao.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Be good. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Au revoir, au revoir.
Au revoir. Au revoir.
Ciao, ciao.